in the Western Conference. In their way this week is Sporting Kansas City, who is directly below the Toros in the Western standings. Dallas beat Kansas City in their Frisco matchup earlier this year in what ended up being the last game at the helm for longtime Kansas City coach Peter Vermees. It's round 2 between these two MLS charter members tonight at Children's Mercy Park. Along the lines of the FC Dallas Radio Network, it is the FC Dallas pregame show, presented by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. On tonight's presentation, we'll have the sounds of tonight's match. Our commentary team for the evening, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis, will join me to break down tonight's contest. But first, we bring in Steve Davis for a look at tonight's major headlines. And it feels like we haven't done this in a while, Steve, and it's only been 2 weeks, but it's good to see you again.
Yeah, man, good to see you too. MLS scheduling, it's a thing, isn't it? Because you're right, we haven't done this in a bit. We had 8 games, including some U.S. Open Cup games in May. Here we are in June, and we only have 3, so it's been a minute.
Yeah. Ben Olsen has some thoughts on that still, despite it being a month. But we'll skirt past that. But it ends up being a metaphorical halfway point for Dallas. They've got just a little bit more MLS in front of them than behind them, but the break works as a pseudo break. So as we look towards that second half of the season for Dallas, they sit 11th. They're still trying to figure things out. Of the things they've got to figure out, what's the most important thing they're going to have to put together here in this second half of the season?
Well, first of all, you're right. It really does feel like the halfway point, even though we're not at the mathematical halfway point. But that big, long break in there, and I think today, after this one, we will be at the mathematical halfway point. So what's most important for FC Dallas in the second half? More points. That 11th is not where anybody wants to be. How do they get there? How do they get more points? What's most important? I think it's setting standards. Eric Quill, he's just got to demand a higher standard from everyone. And then I think, honestly, I think there need to be consequences. If you make mistakes, fine. But, following plans and effort in trying to execute those plans, it's Eric is he's always saying it's non-negotiable. So I think he's got to demonstrate that there can be consequences. That's got to be for everyone. Everyone. If people aren't, I don't care if your name is Lucho Acosta or if it's Martin Paz or if it's anybody else. There's got to be. I'm not singling anybody out. I'm just saying you've got to demand that standard. And Eric Quill keeps saying, they're losing games on the margins. Well, that's you got to tighten those margins. That's what they've got to do. They do that, maybe they score a few more goals, and maybe they get out of 11th place.
And Eric Quill made some interesting comments about that. We'll examine it in our later segment when we talk a little bit more about the game. But let's talk first about the 11 going out there tonight to start this second half. It's Martin Paz in net, Marco Farfan, Sebastian Ibiaga, Alvaro, and Shaq Moore across the back line. The returning Sebastian Lletget joins Pedrinho and Patrickson in the midfield. Lucho Acosta and Anderson Julio supporting Pedro Musa up top. And there's 2 major storylines in the lineup, so I'll let you pick which one you want to tackle first. Sebastian Lletget gets his first start back from injury and at defensive midfield in his long MLS career. Or it's the young Brazilian Alvaro getting his first start due to suspensions, international breaks. Just a whole lot of chaos has led to the 20-year-old getting his first start next to Ibiaga.
Yeah, just catch everybody up. Sazi Urguide injured, best defender easily this year for FC Dallas, and he'll be out. We sort of figured it up yesterday. You and I did, Sam. Hopefully he can be back. What do you say? What did we say about late July?
Mid to late July, yeah.
It was a 6 to 8 week prognosis. That was about 3 weeks ago. So look, Alvaro at center back. It's a real test, and he's got the physical ability. The question for that young man: can he read the game at a high level? Can he adjust to the speed at this level? We'll see. He's only started a handful of games for North Texas SC. Lletget as a holding midfielder, he's not the ideal prototype of that spot as far as a player profile, but he's smart. I think he'll be okay there as long as he keeps things simple. Pedrinho and Patrickson as the eights. No, you know what? Stand by for the keys on that one. We'll get to those later.
Yeah, I think we'll dive into that a little bit more in our third segment here. But, you talk about the injuries, and Dallas, unfortunately, somehow came out of the break more injured than when they went in. And the 3 big ones, you already mentioned Osaze Urguide, that's 6 to 8 weeks, so it looks like late July. If worse comes to worse, maybe early August on that, so not super great. Ramiro not in the lineup again tonight. He's got a bit of a calf issue. That's a shorter term. It looks like about 2 to 4 weeks, give or take. And no Paxton Pomacall. We had actually said in our last broadcast we thought Kansas City was a target. Life happens, pal. He is not out. of those three, I think I know what your answer is going to be. But the most important one probably has to be Uriguite not playing for almost 2 months.
No question. No question at all. Paxton, you just hope for the best for the guy. Ramiro's absence, it's not going to hurt. So it's not going to hurt as much so long as Kaike can stay out of card trouble, and it's a little bit of an issue right now.
That's why he's not here tonight.
That's exactly right. We were joking with Leggett yesterday after practice. I said, "What do you guys in a race? You racing each other to get to those suspensions?" So it's definitely Uriguite because that team's lack of depth at center back is getting exposed a little bit. I think if everybody had their druthers around the club, Alvaro would be a 19-year-old project, a year or two away from getting his first MLS start. But here we are.
Yeah, they're throwing him into the fire. He's got 6 starts for North Texas this year. He's made a couple of sub appearances. So good luck, young man. He's going to need it. And we were talking to Quill yesterday about what to expect from this because this is definitely a different lineup. Obviously the forward group looks the same, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But he didn't say, hey, we're going to be reclusive. He's going hare over tortoise here. And he mentioned the idea of an ultra-attacking mentality. And we had a discussion sort of about this. It's kind of weird to see the concept of an ultra-attacking with this team because we don't know what attacking looks like, nevertheless ultra-attacking. Based on what Quill said yesterday and what we've seen, is it hard? How do we even put together a picture of what ultra-attacking looks like for Dallas right now?
No, it's a good question. That ultra-attacking mentality, we'll see how it works out because the game is about it's really 3 phases. It's defending, attacking, and then transition moments. So you got to defend in those moments as well. As far as that goes, we really haven't quite seen this team's attacking identity yet. What they really want to do. I was thinking about this today because. Whatever it is, I know what they want to do, right? He wants to be vertical, and that's fine. But I remember a long time ago, Sam, Bruce Arena said something to me about that when I complimented his team on one thing. He said, well, the thing is, everybody has these plans. Everybody knows what they want to do. But he said, what are you doing in training every day to reinforce those ideas? What are you stressing every day in training to make sure that people are following your tactical concepts? And so I think with Eric Quill, it's landing on the right personnel and then making sure that they're doing the right things. If he wants to be vertical, great. But we haven't really seen it like that. It hasn't really played that way. If it is going to be building out of the back a little bit more, a little bit more balance, fine. But they've got to settle on it. And going back to what you asked me right at first, what do they need to do in the second half? From a purely functional standpoint, it's got to be finding Lucho Acosta's best position. I think once you do that, once you finally settle on something, I think we're going to see him tonight where we saw him in the last home game playing as that sort of false winger coming in off the left side. Once you figure out exactly where you want to play him, then you've got to build your identity around that. Then you've got to do the things every day in training to make sure that you're following those tactical concepts.
Well, speaking of teams that are trying to find themselves, Sporting Kansas City, definitely one of them. They're 12th in the standings right behind FC Dallas, although based on how they started the season, you wouldn't believe that. But it doesn't hurt that the Galaxy have been just truly terrible. They've got 1 win in their last 6. That was a 3-1 road victory against Houston. But they do have the same amount of wins total as FC Dallas in MLS play, which is weird to believe. Kerry Zavagnin has taken over for Peter Vermees. That has been a mixed bag of results so far. It's just really a kind of, not unlike Dallas, a team in transition where they're trying to find what they're doing. So it's kind of two boxcars running into themselves together here that look very similar.
Well, they're not really doing much different. They're still playing 4-3-3. They're still going to switch the ball a lot, look to isolate wings, get Suleimanov isolated off the right, or Eric Tommy tonight playing off the left, or if Shallowy, the FC Dallas killer, comes in playing off the left. The interesting thing is I think that it has been a mixed bag, but it's been a mixed bag for them since Kerry Zavagnin took over for Peter Vermees, mostly because they've got a lot of defensive instability. I counted up, whereas Dallas has had 6 guys start along the back line. That might sound that seems about average, honestly.
It does.
Kansas City's had 10 guys different guys start somewhere along the back line. So for Sporting Kansas City, what you just said, as far as only 1 win, in 6, they've also played 7 of the last 9 on the road.
They have.
That's a lot. That's a big stretch. Now they get 5 of 6 at home starting tonight. So they see opportunities. That's what Dallas has to watch.
Yeah, and they're not road warriors like Dallas, who has gotten the majority of their wins on the road this season.
True that.
Well, that is Steve Davis, who will have us some fun numbers and things in our third segment, as well as we'll break down a little bit more in-depth on this matchup. We will talk to you in just a little while, Steve.
Sounds good.
When we return here on the FC Dallas pregame show, we'll have the sounds of this week's match. This is FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Logan Farrington, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Winner, winner, Chick-fil-A dinner. All season long when FC Dallas wins at home, fans win free Chick-fil-A. Be sure your Chick-fil-A app is up to date and location services are turned on when you attend matches at Toyota Stadium. After the team wins, before you leave your seats, open the app to redeem the Chick-fil-A offer. Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show presented by Toyota here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. In our next segment, it'll be Ryan Figert and Steve Davis joining me. We'll break down the lineups, the tactics, everything you need to know about tonight's matchup in the Fountain City. But while we have a moment, I want to remind everyone about the FC Dallas Radio Network podcast feed, which is your hub for all FC Dallas audio. Of course, you'll find the post-game show there, everything you need, highlights, stats, analysis, everything about the game that was in 30 minutes or less. That comes out after every game goes live. But this year, we've added the FC Dallas agenda. We are now over 20 episodes deep, so you've got a nice big catalog to get into there. And you'll find interviews with all the big newsmakers, analysis, previews. We've had Andre Zanata on the show. Eric Quill has appeared on the show. Just this past week, longtime voice of FC Dallas, Mark Followell, sat down for almost an hour and talked with us about his favorite calls, how he got into the sport, what he's doing this coming year, which I believe now we can comfortably say he'll be on some of the Gold Cup broadcasts this season, so good for Mark. That episode's up now. Of course, we had a big NTSC feature 2 weeks ago where we talked to Matt Denny, the MLS Next Pro Executive of the Year, and current head coach John Gall. All of that is on the FC Dallas Radio Network podcast feed. But how do you find that? Well, all you got to do, go to your podcast provider of choice, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Type in FC Dallas Radio Network, hit that subscribe button, so whenever we drop new, good, it'll be right there for you. And by the way, completely free, free 99, totally free for you. All you got to do is hit subscribe, download, and listen to all that good audio broadcasting. Speaking of, let's get you to the sounds of tonight's match. And this week it features FC Dallas manager Eric Quill, Dallas midfielder Sebastian Lletget, and interim Kansas City manager Kerry Zavagnin.
We just, to be honest, like looking back at the month of how grueling the schedule was with travel and games in close proximity and bodies, and I thought we didn't get the results we wanted, but soccer's a tricky game sometimes because sometimes you play really well and you don't get results, and so I feel like we're playing better than our results show, so that's a positive. And I think the guys feel that as well. So I think there's a real understanding of we know we're better than where we sit. and I think that's collective, and I feel that the way they're training. I think they're ready to kind of launch and get it and have a little bit of reset. And I think we've had some honesty with the previous games and growth mindset. So hopefully that takes us into the next stage of where we're supposed to be. But we need to start climbing. We need to start getting aggressive with who we are and not settle for what we are at the moment. Kerry's a great coach. He's obviously was with Peter for a long time, so you're not talking about a wholesale change. He was probably, obviously knows that group very, very well. I think there's maybe a little bit more freedom in which they play, but they're playing some good stuff, and they've gotten some good results, and in Kansas City, one of the toughest places you want to play, and both teams' backs against the wall, so both teams have to go for it, and time's of the essence. So I expect a good game, but they're a quality side that we got to be prepared for, but be the aggressors even in their home.
I think as a whole, we know we can do better. I think we have enough firepower in this locker room to really turn things around. It hasn't been to the standard that we know we can be at, but there's no panic. We're very much, we feel in control, and we're optimistic about the second half of the season. So that's just what we want to execute. You can't underestimate any team in this league. Regardless of their start or how they're doing, every team is so competitive in this league, and we know that. They were competitive here at home. We had a tough time. We won, so we have that to look at, and we're going to study that. But historically, KC is a tough place to play. So we got to take all that into account, and again, just execute our game plan. We know what we can do. We have enough ability in this locker room. Super excited, man. I miss being out there with my guys, and just you feel helpless as an injured player, but I feel better than ever, and I'm looking forward to it.
Like every team in this league, if you don't show up on the day, you'll be punished. We've played against many teams so far that have had key players that can punish you, and they do as well. They're fighting for their spot in the table as well. So the expectation is this is going to be a Major League Soccer game where the margins are very thin and the games are decided in the key moments, and we're going to have to be ready for that.
It is indeed going to be a Major League Soccer game. Thank you for that, Kerry Zavagnin, along with Sebastian Lletget and Eric Quill. When we return here on the FC Dallas pregame show, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis join me to help break down tonight's Major League Soccer match, including the lineups and the tactics. This is FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Sebastian Lletget, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show presented by Toyota here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. We've got about 20 minutes from kickoff at Children's Mercy Park, so let's go ahead and get you the starting lineups for tonight's matchup. And those lineups tonight are brought to you by Advocare. We'll start first with the home side Sporting Kansas City, interim head coach Kerry Zavagnin. It's John Polskamp in net for SKC, Logan Ndenbe, Joaquin Fernandez, Jansen Miller, and Kyrie Shelton on the back line for SKC, Jacob Bartlett, Jake Davis, and Manu Garcia in the midfield, Eric Tommy, Dejan Joveljic, and Shepi Suleimanov up top tonight for SKC. Now let's get you the starting lineup for FC Dallas and first-year head coach Eric Quill.
Marta Paz, goalkeeper, University of Amsterdam.
Shaq Moore, right back, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Álvaro, center back from Brazil.
Sebastian Ibiaga, center back, Duke University.
Marco Farfan, left back from Portland, Oregon.
Sebastian Leggett, center midfield, San Francisco, California.
Patrickson, mediocampista, Ecuador. Pedrinho, midfielder, Brasil.
Anderson Julio, soy delantero y soy de Quito, Ecuador.
Luciano Costa, midfielder, I'm from Argentina.
Petar Musa, forward, from Zagreb, Croatia.
And the subs tonight for Dallas: Leo Chu, Siki Sabling, Logan Farrington, Josh Torquato, Michael Collodi, Nolan Norris, Diego Garcia, Anthony Ramirez, and Bernard Camungo. Now let's bring in the commentary team for tonight's matchup: Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. And Ryan, we were talking about off air and even yesterday at training about Dallas's struggles in MLS. They haven't won since mid or late April. That was the Miami Miracle. Dallas has picked up some points, but they haven't found the winning ways in league play. How does Dallas go about reversing that winless trend as we start the metaphorical second half of the MLS season?
Yeah, I mean, this has been 2 weeks of training. Now show me what you got. Obviously, you hope to come out of this stretch of 2 weeks on the training field with some more healthy bodies, and you've kind of traded a couple here and there. There's more guys on the training table now. Ramiro's not available, who's been kind of the glue that's tried to hold everything together when guys have been out. That's going to be a key piece missing today. So I think that's going to hamstring them from maybe showing completely what they want to be. But with 2 weeks without a game, I mean, this was the best opportunity all season long to work on their identity on the training field. And if they can translate that into performances, and those performances then can eventually translate into results, I think they can have an improved second half of the season.
And obviously one of the big storylines, and we talked about in our first segment, Steve, was Alvaro getting the start at center back. And we talked to Eric Quill yesterday about it, and he was very interested in just, he was very happy about the young man. He was excited. He had a lot of good things to say. And I want to get Ryan's impression because he's seen a lot of NTSC this year. But you've had a lot of coach speak, in your time. You've heard from a lot of coaches of various levels. Did you feel that was a coach trying to give his man confidence, or was that some genuine enthusiasm for his young player?
Yeah, Sam, maybe somewhere in between. Look, he's got to believe in the guy. I mean, that's we talked about how their lack of depth at that position has been a little bit exposed. So this is where he is, and yes, he's got to fill him with information, but also belief. But I am interested in hearing what Ryan has to say because he's seen more of them.
Yeah, I want to just take it back to the preseason training camp and the impression that he made to even get signed by the club. I mean, he is a player that left Brazil as a teenager, was playing in France in the youth leagues there, got picked up by Portimonense, who's sort of trying to be talent scouts and trying to move young players on. And so when Dallas was short a few players with Nkosi Tafari going to LAFC, and they didn't have an extra center back to play during preseason and some of these preseason friendlies, they called up Portimonense, and they had 3 players come in on trial with the team and play in these games. Alvaro was the one that stood out, immediately. Obviously, standing at 6'5", his physical stature is there. Just a 20, coming in, he was a teenager at the time, now 20 years old, so ton of potential, but also personality. I know Eric Quill talked about that, but I don't think that was coach speak. I mean, from the moment that I first saw him in Portugal, he's out there trying to communicate with whoever he's playing with, and that's, with a huge language barrier. There's a few Portuguese speakers in the Dallas ranks, but Ramiro wasn't playing at that time. Leo Chu wasn't playing at that time, so it was really just like him and Pedrinho that could communicate, and Kaique hadn't been signed yet. So now there's a lot more guys that he can communicate with, but even when there was that language barrier, he was communicating, he was using his body language, but also tone of voice to talk with. He was playing a lot with Momo Cisse, the Dallas draft pick, and they formed a good relationship, which has continued as he's played at North Texas SC. So I think, no doubt, this is a player who's very raw, and they see a lot of future for him and a high ceiling. But right now we have to figure out what the floor is, what's a performance he can give you in Major League Soccer today, and we're about to find out.
Even yesterday, just walking over and saying hello to all of us, and being friendly, and again, to your point, personality, that it's big, it's important.
And he is big as a house. Like, you'll see it when he comes on the screen. Like, he is all of that height. There is no fudging those numbers there. And a couple changes we're going to see in the midfield today. Pedrinho and Patrickson, the two mononyms there, getting the chance. We've seen Pedrinho mainly play Steve as more of a 10 or even a winger. He's going to have to play as an 8. And I feel like that's going to give Dallas more creativity in midfield. but that's going to come at a cost, is it not?
Boy, it is. If they can control the game, if they can control the ball, they're going to do okay, I think, because all of those midfielders are pretty technical. Leggett certainly is. Pedrinho certainly is. Patrickson is. He's just got to play the ball. He's got to play forward a little bit more. So if they're in control of the ball and control of tempo, I think they're going to do okay, especially on that side, because I think the way it's going to line up is Leggett will be the holding presence. I think it'll be Patrickson on the right. It'll be Pedrinho on the left. Pedrinho playing on the left side with Lucho Acosta, who's going to tilt in from the left side. I think that's where they can really make some hay, because on that side, Shapi Suleimanov for Kansas City, he's the right winger. He doesn't want to defend. Kyrie Shelton is not a defender. That's where I think Dallas can really have some success today.
And regardless of the game state late, Ryan, Dallas is going to have some interesting bench options tonight. Obviously, we've talked about Nolan Norris. We'll probably see him at some point, if not just for Sebastian Leggett, because it's hard to imagine he's got 90 in his legs. But you've got guys like Logan Farrington come in. Leo Chu is back tonight. Seeking Sabling. But you've also got some young players. Jerry Garcia is in. Anthony Ramirez. We mentioned Josh Torquato, who probably is a break glass in case of emergency type. But while this may not be the most experienced or maybe even the ideal bench for Eric Quill, there's some pieces he can work with in late game situations.
Yeah, there's definitely interesting options. I'm looking at it, I think you'd expect Nolan Norris to play in one of the three different positions that he can play in tonight, and it's kind of be whichever one they need him in first. Whether do they need to bring him in at half if Leggett is feeling, that he's not match fit to go 60 minutes. He comes in midfield. If Marco Farfan has an issue, or if Alvaro has an issue, he could play in either of those two spots. We saw Marco Farfan also fill in at center back last week, so he's the first one off the bench, I think, for me tonight. And then, it's nice to have some extra attacking options. Leo Chu got his only goal of the season earlier on against Kansas City at home, so maybe he has some confidence in this particular matchup. And I know just from talking to him, he's been itching to get back out there. I mean, that injury came at the worst time, just as he had gotten that goal and started to find some form. And I think it'll be interesting to see, Dallas returning to playing with a true right winger in this shape. And if Anderson Julio has to come off, I think Leo Chu really fits that mold a lot better than the striker position that he had played earlier in the season.
Before we get to tonight's keys to the match, let's talk a little bit about Kansas City. Ryan, they are 12th in the West. They have 2 points less than Dallas, despite having the same amount of wins. And the good news is Daniel Shalloway not starting. He is on the bench. But they do have Dan Jovic, who, since having his child, has been on a bit of a tear. He's got 10 goals and an assist in 16 games. But the big issue for Kansas City, the defensive depth. Kyrie Shelton is starting at right back. He's not a right back. No Roberto Volodero or Danny Rosero. They're still out with injury. As Steve mentioned, they've had 10 different defenders start this year. I mean, that back line is going to be vulnerable to a really good Dallas attacking group tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because, Kansas City just about can tape together a back line. Dallas just about can tape together a back line. I mean, we saw a matchup earlier today in St. Louis where it was St. Louis City against LA Galaxy, two of the other teams below the playoff line in the West, and it finished 3-3. A lot of goals, a lot of bad defending, a lot of moments of magic. I mean, there's room for goals, and there's potential for excitement for both teams today, looking at the back line on the opposite side. Yeah,
and look, to your point, opportunity factor tonight. FC Dallas only 4 goals at home this year, but 14 goals on the road. Better attacking team on the road so far. Yeah, and one to look out for, I think, on the Kansas City side, they had these notes in their game notes, and I kind of sat up in my chair and wanted to double check them because they've been outscored 25-14 through the 60th minutes of games, but then they've outscored their opponents 7-1 in the final 15 minutes of games. So they've started slow, but late in games they've been dangerous. That's something to look out for. Yeah, just Shalloway late. Is that what you're saying? That's
old Daniel Mbappe Shalloway.
We're not
over there
putting prophecies on the air at this hour.
Last time you did that, Dallas lost an Open Cup game. But let's go ahead and get to tonight's keys to the match. They are brought to you by Toyota, and they are also brought to you by Steve Davis.
Thank you, Sam. Number one tonight, they've got to have some bite in the midfield. All three of these midfielders we just said are offensive-minded, and they are pretty technical, but none of them think defense first. So they've got to find some bite in their game. They've got to do some tackling, some tracking, probably even some strategic fouling. Number two, they've got Alvaro. He's just got to get old in a hurry tonight. Young Portuguese center back, Brazilian center back rather, with his limited professional experience. He's going to get some tonight. It's a lot to ask. Here we are. Ibiaga's got to provide a lot of help. Alvaro's going to just have to be next man up. He's got to pass the test tonight. And number three key, Musa has to produce. He's only had 1 goal in 2 months. I know he missed a lot of minutes in there, but he wasn't really sharp as he got back on the field. A month ago, Eric Quill thinks he's going to be sharper tonight. They need him to be. They need him to rediscover that technical quality. They need that man to supply goals. And Sam, those are your keys, presented by Toyota.
Thank you, Steve. That's going to do it for tonight's pregame show. When we return, Ryan and Steve will keep getting you ready for tonight's matchup between FC Dallas and Sporting Kansas City out in Kansas City. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota, the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Maarten Paas, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
After an offseason full of change and a 16-game roller coaster to date, FC Dallas arrives today at the halfway point of the Major League Soccer season as they take on longtime foe Sporting Kansas City at Children's Mercy Park. Dallas were afforded the luxury of a weekend off, but unfortunately, it didn't help them towards a clean bill of health as they rejoined the action today with a few names back involved, but a few new ones on the training table, and that combined with suspensions means the lineup is an interesting one for Eric Quill, who will lead FC Dallas out tonight against one of his former clubs, he himself lining up for the then Kansas City Wizards back in 2002, alongside his opposite number tonight, SKC interim head coach Kerry Zavagnin. Both teams on the outside looking in terms of the playoff spots in the West, but with still half of a season to set that right. It will start tonight. I'm Ryan Figert, joined on the call here on the FC Dallas Radio Network by Steve Davis. And Steve, we're getting set for action from Children's Mercy Park. Both teams really could start to build momentum, and both teams have the opportunity over the course of the summer. A lot of home games for both of them. It really starts now, it feels like.
Yeah, look, both teams see this as a sort of a get-right opportunity. I mentioned a while ago, Sporting Kansas City having just come off of a big stretch where they played everything on the road. Mostly it was 7 of 9 on the road. That's that's a big stretch there. Now they've got 5 of 6 at home. Dallas had the big 2-week break. Now maybe we're able to set some tactical principles and really sort of hammer them in there. They see it as a place to go get right themselves. So both of these teams looking at this one.
Yeah, and on the Dallas side, after today, 5 of 7 at home over the course of June and July. Just 3 games for FC Dallas in June, including this one, and then a Wednesday matchup and a Saturday matchup back-to-back at home against San Jose and San Diego. These 3 games feel like if you can get 6, 7, 9 points, I mean, you jump right back into the playoff mix. And in order to do that, it's going to take big performances from the designated players on the Dallas side. Eric Quill was the first one to tell us that during the week. Lucho Acosta hasn't quite lived up to his high standards this year. 5 goals in all competitions. Peter Musa leading the team in MLS with 4 goals and 3 assists. What's it going to take for them to be back to their best here in the back half of the season?
Well, I think it starts with what Eric Quill told us yesterday, that he's had some conversations and maybe some tough conversations. He said he's got to get more out of those leaders across the board. Lucho Acosta to be sitting here almost halfway through the season with 0 assists. I mean, it's good that he's contributed some goals, but and a couple of really nice ones. But he's got to get the assist. And Peter Musa, I think he was really good to start the season. Then I think the injury really slowed him down. He's got to get back to where he was in March and into April.
Yeah, and one of the places on this roster that they've actually gotten more than they expected is some of those marginal pieces. I mean, your Pedriños, your Patricksons, and across the board. Pedriño in particular getting the opportunity from the start today. He's been better off the bench all season long. With 2 weeks to train, get ready for this particular role, which is a little different than he's played at other times. What do you expect from Pedriño tonight?
Look, he does have a different role tonight. I do like that he's over there. I mentioned it a minute ago with Lucho Acosta, so those two do play on the same wavelength. We know about that, but he's not a playmaker tonight. He has what we call an 8. He's a box-to-box midfielder, so he's got a lot of defensive responsibilities to weave in there as well.
Eric Quill told us he's going all-out attack with this lineup, and we'll see if it does indeed produce goals tonight as we take a quick break for the national anthem, and we'll be back with kickoff here on the FC Dallas Radio Network on the other side of this break.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Sebastian Ibiaga. Tonight's FC Dallas match is up next, right here on the FC Dallas app.
Well, as international competitions are kicking off across the country today, Major League Soccer marches on. FC Dallas at Sporting Kansas City, Children's Mercy Park, the venue tonight. And what feels like maybe the 3rd or 4th straight summer of soccer, and next year we've got the World Cup. I mean, it seems like it's every year at this point. But anyways, moving on, FC Dallas at Sporting Kansas City tonight. Ryan Figert alongside Steve Davis as we are moments away from kickoff. Nearly 300 games at Children's Mercy Park for Sporting Kansas City. They're closing in on that milestone. It's been one of the premier venues since its opening in 2011 in Major League Soccer. And now what they're seeing out at Children's Mercy Park is a team that's sort of revived under Kerry Zavagnin and sees an opportunity to continue that momentum here in the summer, Steve.
Yeah, just go back to the stadium. I think Children's Mercy Park, they're right outside, about 15, 20 minutes outside downtown Kansas City. How about the raceway there? I think it's sort of ushered in the era, maybe that one in Red Bull Arena, of MLS Stadiums 2.0. And we're seeing the big renovation at newtoyotastadium.com if you want to go find out more about that. So Children's Mercy Park for me is still one of the really great venues in Major League Soccer. It's a terrific supporters culture there. They've got some really cool amenities that they sort of introduced into MLS. So a really good place there to watch a soccer game.
Yeah, and their leading light this season, without a doubt, number 9, Dejan Joveljic, coming over from the champions, the LA Galaxy. And a sort of question, was Joveljic a piece that was just surrounded by so much talent that he was getting goals? But no, he's continued, picked up right where he left off, 10 goals on the season. What's going to take for Dallas to slow him down today?
Yeah, in a way, he sort of carried him. Like you said, 10 goals, and lately 4 goals in 3 games. So, and he's got an opportunity tonight. We keep talking about opportunity factor for both teams. He's going up against a very, very young center back, an inexperienced center back. So what Dallas is going to have to do is try to get Ibiaga matched up with Joveljic as much as possible. The other thing you'd say is they're not quite sure yet with Kerry Zavagnin how they want to attack. Do they want Joveljic running in behind a little bit more? Do they want to play more direct to the wings and then feed him early crosses? Do they want him coming back, checking in, and bringing others into the play a little bit more? They're still trying to sort it out as well.
Captains on either side. Lucho Acosta for FC Dallas. Eric Tommy, who's in the lineup after starting the last couple on the bench for Sporting Kansas City. They're meeting with the referee, who tonight is Sergei Demianchuk, in his 11th career MLS game. Previously had the Dallas against Chicago game in Frisco earlier this year, in which Dallas felt like they were in full control and let it slip away late. High fives and handshakes between the captains and the referees as we're just about set for action from Kansas tonight. Steve mentioned it. Dallas going with inexperience in the back line. Lalas Abubakar suspended. Osaze Arigide out injured, meaning Alvaro, the young Brazilian 20-year-old, in there alongside some experienced MLS veterans, Marco Farfan, Sebastian Ibiaga, and Shaq Moore. He's going to have to lean on them tonight, without a doubt, as he's up against one of the league's premier goal scorers in Dejan Joveljic.
Maybe that is the one good thing you would say about Alvaro starting tonight. He's got so much good experience around him.
Kansas City drops it back to their goalkeeper, John Postgame, who launches it long, and we are underway from Children's Mercy Park. First kick straight out of play out on the far side. And it'll be Marco Farfan who can pick it up and get things going the other way for Dallas with the throw. Looking for Musa. Header one by Kyrie Shelton, deputy right back for SKC. And Dembe brings it up to Kansas City left. Early touch there for Alvaro as he blocks the cross and then steps out of the back line to intercept. Strong start for him in the opening 30 seconds. Now looking to find a pass, but no runner out there ahead of him. And he turns it over and retreats back to his usual position.
Certainly was brave with the ball there. Got the ball on an interception. He carries it forward about 25 yards. In the end, he was a little loose on the pass, but no nerves apparent there.
Ball over the top, out towards Shapi Suleimanov, the right winger for Kansas City. Farfan defending just inside the edge of the 18 on the far side, and the Russian winger chased all the way back now to Kyrie Shelton.
Yeah, Dejan Joveljic wide open in the middle there, just couldn't chase it down in time.
Kansas City in control of possession here in the opening minute. Out to Ndimbe, the left back, the Belgian. Chipped out to him once again, faced up with Shaq Moore. Dropped off from Manu Garcia through the lines, finds Eric Tommy on the edge of the 18. Shaq Moore does well to hold him off there. Back to Garcia, the designated player. Into the feet of Ndimbe, poked ahead out wide for Eric Tommy. Eric Tommy, left-footed ball swung in, and Leggett has his first touch of the game to block the cross. Shaq Moore then sends it down the field with a Kansas City player staying down injured. And it's Ndimbe who's holding his left ankle by the looks of things as the referee brings a stop to the play.
Already seeing a couple of entry balls played into the Dallas penalty area, and you know that's where they're lacking that one true or maybe two defensive midfielders there if you're playing two as a screener, because what their most important job is a lot of times is just screening that back line and not even so much going and tackling all the time. It's just playing those passing lanes and keeping those easy entry balls from getting in there.
Looked like it could have definitely been a foul against Shaq Moore that wasn't whistled, but he'll resume play instead with a drop ball for Dallas. Ball at the feet of Alvaro. Into midfield for Leggett. Nice first time ball out to Moore. Back to Alvaro. Good ball to advance it up the right side for Patrickson. Down the line for Julio. The two Ecuadorians link up on the Dallas flank. Julio back out to Patrickson. Some space here up the right side. Into the feet of Lucho Acosta. Quick 1-2. And the second pass off the mark, looking for Lucho once again.
A good little combination work there to start, and then in the end, Patrickson just not quite accurate enough with his second pass into Lucho Acosta.
Pedrinho here dropping deep. Finds Leggett. Leggett through the lines, finds Julio some space here centrally. Lucho out wide to the right now, receives it. Runners inside the 18. Lucho chips this one towards the back post, looking for Musa. Musa wins the first contact, but he's leaning back, and he can't get it towards goal. Instead, it goes the other way.
Oh, I think Pedrinho was behind him and could have had a whack at it there at the back post.
Good work from Farfan, who went into midfield to win it back for Dallas, who will keep possession here through Sebastian Leggett in the 4th minute. Diagonal ball from him out to the right side, just out of the reach of Lucho Acosta. And it'll be a throw right near the corner flag on the near side for Sporting Kansas City.
Well, we thought Acosta would be playing as that false wing on the left side. So far, he's popped up a couple of times dangerously on the right side.
And Dembe readies the throw. Deep in his own territory here. Looking for options. Long wait, eventually drops it back for Davis, who puts it out off Lucho Acosta, and it'll be a goal kick instead.
A couple of early touches for Sebastian Lletget. We told you in the pregame show that we'd ask him, have you played as a 6 before? And he said he hadn't, sort of laughed about it. He said, you know what? I'm going to keep it simple. Win the ball and keep it simple from there.
Diagonal ball intercepted by Shaq Moore with plenty of time to find Anderson Julio up the right for Dallas. And to Lletget in midfield. Closed down quickly by Jacob Bartlett. Drops it off for Ibeaga. Ibeaga out to Farfan. Farfan on the halfway line, chops back, ball forward to the feet of Acosta. And now Pedrinho on the halfway line is going to swing it across to Alvaro. 2 young Brazilians in the lineup today. No Kaique, if you're just joining us, yellow card suspension. Well, as we could have had 3 21 and under Brazilians for Dallas. Chipped down the left side, looking for the run of Farfan. Header there won by Jansen Miller. Second ball picked up by Sebastian Lletget, who finds Acosta. Acosta, nice turn past Bartlett. Now driving at the back line of Kansas City. Diagonal ball looking for Patrickson out wide on the right, and it's intercepted and bounced back to John Postgame in goal.
A really good turn there by Lucho Acosta. Kansas City actually playing really well there, keeping it compact and not really giving Acosta a lane to play that ball into Patrickson on the right side.
Bartlett, diagonal ball out to Tommy. From right to left, Tommy with a lot of space, now closed down by Shaq Moore on the edge of the box to the byline. Tommy, cut back cross, is picked up there by Alvaro. Alvaro keeping it simple, just finds Shaq Moore, who will dump this one down the line, only as far as Ndimbe. And now Manu Garcia picked up an assist in the defeat against LAFC last week, supplying the pass for Joveljic to score. Joveljic quiet here through 6 minutes, but he's the type of player that doesn't need a lot of touches to have an impact. As he's continued his hot form from the playoff run with the Galaxy last year and picked up pretty quickly the things in Sporting Kansas City colors. Suleimanov with it on the Kansas City right, finds a lot of space in the middle for Bartlett, switches over to Ndimbe. Bartlett now closed down by Patrickson, finds Garcia, who can get turned. Shelton trying to goes for the 1-2, off the mark there, looking for Garcia. Patrickson, heavy touch, and turns it over to Ndimbe. He's looking for options. Kansas City had gone on the retreat. Now they make their way back forwards, and Ndimbe's on it at the left side. Joveljic checks short to offer an option, but still really nowhere to pass it for the Belgian. Eventually they do work it backwards and out of trouble, and now Bartlett will swing it to the opposite side. Suleimanov onto his favored left foot, now cuts back, finds some space out wide for Jake Davis. Cut back ball to the top of the 18, finds Joveljic. Set back now for Suleimanov. Suleimanov with the curler, and it picks out the side netting. What a strike from the Russian to give SKC the lead.
Well, that is a heck of a shot from the right winger. This was always going to be the danger, though, for FC Dallas, because if they could control the ball, push Kansas City back, you know, they had a chance tonight, and of course they still have a chance, but what we saw over the last couple of minutes was Sporting Kansas City just having too much of an easy time moving the ball through the midfield into the final third, and that's because Dallas doesn't really have any really good defenders in the midfield. And as the ball swings into Suleimanov, he's just got a little too much time. Nobody closes him down. Nobody steps to him. That's a midfielder's job there. It's Lletget in the area, Farfan's in the area, Pedrinho's in the area. Nobody steps out, and it gives him a chance just to wrap that ball around his left foot, put it into that upper left corner, past Martin Paz, 1-0.
Yeah, ghosts of Johnny Russell past, longtime Kansas City winger, now with Real Salt Lake, but Suleimanov somewhere between Russell and Iron Robin with that finish.
Well, you know, a lot of professional players can hit that ball if you don't get any pressure on them. So,
well, Dallas, if there's one thing that can be said about them this season, is that they have fought from behind in these situations. The other thing that would then immediately be said is that they've found themselves behind way too often this season. Conceded first in all but a few of the games in Major League Soccer.
They've actually erased 2-goal deficits twice this year.
Acosta switching ball out to Julio. A lot of space for him on the right side. Shaq Moore further down the line as an option. Julio goes on the dribble. Drop of the shoulder. Can't get any space there against Eric Tommy. Now Alvaro looking for options, doesn't see much, checks back for Ibiaga instead. This game, once it's concluded, will mean Dallas has played exactly half of their Major League Soccer schedule. As the ball switched out to Shaq Moore, headed down the line for Julio. Backheel trying to return it to him, is bounced out of play there by Fernandez. Here's Leggett on the turn. Cross to Pedrinho. Marco Farfan moving it from outside to in. Now back out wide with Pedrinho. Leggett seeing a lot of the ball early on. Musa with a 1-2 here. Musa in behind for Shaq Moore along the right side. Cross towards the back post. Musa there! And he equalizes right away. There's the impact from Petar Musa as he grabs his 5th goal of the season to knot things up at 1 here. 10 minutes gone at Children's Mercy Park.
Well, we just talked about how FC Dallas had to get Petar Musa going. If they could get the Moose loose, they'd have a good chance to score some goals tonight, because Sporting Kansas City's back line has been pretty unstable all year. Well, there you have it, because the pass is on out to Shaq Moore. Moore doesn't hesitate, puts a great ball right across the face of the goal. Ends up as an easy finish off the left foot of Petar Musa from about 4 yards, 1-1.
Petar Musa has been so lethal against Sporting Kansas City, and he strikes once again in front of the Cauldron end at Children's Mercy Park, where he scored twice in 2024. Get a shot of the traveling Dallas support, making their voices heard.
Just a slight technical correction from my part. It wasn't his left foot, it was his right foot.
Yeah.
As he it was such a good ball from Shaq Moore, and such a good run, well-timed run from Petar Musa. He actually had time to get his hips turned and get it off that preferred right foot, and looked very comfortable doing it.
Right on the 10-minute mark for Petar Musa. We asked for him. Eric Quill asked for his designated players to provide more goal scoring, more impact. And Petar Musa up to the task, helping Dallas to equalize immediately after conceding. And if they can just spot the other team 1 goal, I mean, the way they've been able to come back from 2-goal deficits this year, see if they've snapped into form a little bit quicker in Kansas City today.
Yeah, just gotta find a little bit more bite in the midfield. You know, a minute ago when Dallas was moving the ball around, getting into the final third, there's just a little bit more resistance from Kansas City. Right now, there's not enough resistance in the midfield for FC Dallas defending.
Ball over the top from Manu Garcia. Header won by Sebastian Ibiaga. And now Dallas will look to counter, but first Manu Garcia stayed down. And as soon as the referee blew the whistle, Garcia raised himself up and started having to go at the official. And that stopped a potential Dallas counterattack. 2nd time that the referee stopped for a Kansas City player down injured.
Yeah, and that time, Sergei Demianchuk indicating it's for a potential head injury. A minute ago, it was not a potential head injury, so I'm not sure I really understood the one a minute ago.
Well, the referee's waving the training staff on as Lucho Acosta's helping Garcia to his feet. The alleged contact was from Patrickson Delgado. May have caught him with a trailing arm across the face. Because the play was stopped for a head injury, I think he's going to have to get checked, which would mean he would have to come off. Still talking with the referee about what he saw as an elbow thrown. So we're going to look at Eric Quill sporting I think a new hat, a black and red hat today in one of his former homes. Formerly a part of the Kansas City Wizards. Alongside his opposite number tonight, Kerry Zavagnin. These two played together in 2002 and 2003 before Eric Quill joined the Dallas Burn for the first time.
I was kind of thinking about Kerry Zavagnin because it's ironic, but the position he played, he was sort of this no-nonsense, very smart central defensive midfielder. It's exactly what FC Dallas needs tonight. So if FC Dallas, if somebody could channel their inner Kerry Zavagnin, because he actually had 21 caps at that position for the national team.
Well, the best way to experience FC Dallas soccer is with a season ticket membership, which has a host of benefits that make this the best option in sports, including a complimentary MLS Season Pass subscription, discounts on concessions at Toyota Stadium, and much more. You can find the membership that's perfect for you at fcdallas.com/memberships. Conversation now between the referee and Lucho Acosta about how to restart play. Manu Garcia will wait off the field. He should have to wait for 2 minutes, I believe. We'll see how long. And well, he's just run back on, and that's not really how the rule is supposed to be carried out. We continue here in the 14th minute. Nod to that one. We thought we might see goals with the depth thinned on both sides defensively and some high-powered attacking talent. Here's Pedrinho, speaking of, through the lines looking for Musa, just out of his reach. And Musa will press all the way back to postgame. Kansas City trying to play out here with their rookie center back, Jansen Miller. Some decent reviews for him early in his MLS career. Good work from Patrickson to win it back in midfield. Pedrinho ahead to Julio, left for Patrickson, chipped over the top. May break for Acosta on the far side, but Shelton gets there first. Can't find a teammate. Farfan retrieves it. Trying to play it off the Kansas City man, and does to win a throw. Farfan down the line. Pedrinho fakes the back heel, finds Acosta in behind for Farfan with some space to measure this cross in. Deflected at the near post. And may break for Shaq Moore at the back post as Tommy gets there doing the defensive work to nod it back to John Polskamp.
Yeah, really nice combination work along the left side, ending that cross, but you're right, it did take a little deflection, knocked it up in the air, so nothing really coming of it, but I do think that's the side that FC Dallas can really attack over there.
Tommy, the 30-year-old, wearing the armband today. Came from Stuttgart as a designated player back in 2022 for SKC. And Dembe hounded here by Anderson Julio back into the Kansas City half. And now Fernandez goes back for Polskamp, who will swing it over to Jansen Miller, who was the victim of a really nice play from Sebastian Lletget in the home matchup between these two teams, as Lletget beat him to the end line and got the cross in to set up Leo Chu's game-winning goal. Dembe into Jacob Bartlett in midfield. In his first season as well, the rookie out of Notre Dame, came through the academy. Those two, Miller and Bartlett, they hope will be long-term cornerstones akin to what they got out of the likes of Zusi and Beasler in a previous era.
Yeah, they've got some good young players over there. You know, you'd add John Polskamp to that list, Jake Davis.
Garcia on it, supposed to be the one to provide that top-level quality, the designated player. Swings it out to Suleimanov, who's got the SKC goal. Back to Garcia, ahead to Shelton in an attacking position. Suleimanov trying to get to the byline. Good defending from Farfan. He'll concede a corner as he cut off the route there for Suleimanov.
That's something FC Dallas has done really well this year, is defending set pieces. Only one goal allowed off a set piece this year. That's tied for low in Major League Soccer.
On the other side, Kansas City have given up the most, 10. And if Dallas can win some corners, win some attacking free kicks, they've now got the height of Alvaro in there at 6'5", but they'll have to use that height here to help out defensively. Corner kick coming from the far side for SKC. As Joveljic and Musa, the two number 9s, exchange pleasantries inside the 6-yard box. Suleimanov in-swinger towards the back post, and Joveljic is there, and he won the header over Patrickson, who was tasked with marking him, but it's down into the ground for Martin Paz to cover up.
Yeah, they're running a couple of screens, and they're trying to free him up from Patrickson. Patrickson doing a really good job of fighting through those. He doesn't go up with Joveljic, but he's on him and close enough to at least be a bother there.
Ibiaga will walk it up the field. Kansas City drops into what resembles a mid-block. And a loose pass there from Ibiaga, intended for Farfan, straight out of play.
I don't know if you can put that one on Ibiaga.
To be fair, I looked down right as I as he made the pass. And I looked up and it was out of bounds.
I think Farfan did too.
I will.
I think he looked up.
Trust you on that one then. There's a hold here to restart play. Not sure why.
Yeah, I don't know if they're looking at something.
Maybe something on the previous corner kick. I saw Suleimanov turn to Joveljic and sort of indicate hand, but we've resumed play here. No concern for any potential VAR intervention. VAR is Daniel Radford at the controls in Arlington today. As we've played 20 minutes in Kansas City, and it's the home side looking to restore the lead in Ndimbe. Ball into the area, and Ibiaga beats Joveljic to it, putting it behind for a corner. Dangerous ball in there from the fullback.
I think FC Dallas is trying to play a 4-4-2 when they defend, leaving Acosta and Musa up high, but it's not the best organized right now. Some really having a little trouble figuring out exactly what their defensive starting positions are.
This corner kick will be from the near side. Again, it's going to be an in-swinger. This time low across the ground, easily dealt with there by Leggett at the near post. Trying something off the training ground. That didn't quite come off. Garcia switching ball from near side to far. Sort of had some fade on it, but it's retrieved by Suleimanov, who will drop it off for Jake Davis to keep possession. Another chipped ball out to the left side for Eric Tommy. And Tommy went early. Flagged for offside there as Julio was tracking back to defend.
I mean, when you play Sporting Kansas City, if you can't defend those diagonals, set up possession on one side, then hit a big switching diagonal off to the wing on the other side. If you can't defend those, you're not going to do very well, because that is the #1 tool in their bag. It has been for a long time.
Yeah, talking about the change from Vermees to Zavagnin, or maybe the lack of change. Zavagnin had been at the club just as long as Peter Vermees. I mean, he joined as a player in 2000, retired in 2008, went straight into coaching in 2009 as an assistant, and now getting his first opportunity as an interim head coach. Kansas City, a team who has only had 4 head coaches in their entire history as an MLS original.
Let's see, Ron Newman, Bob Gansler, who won a title there, Kurt Analfo, whose last game was also in Dallas, and then Peter Vermees for 15 years, whose last game was in Dallas.
609 games under Peter Vermees. You don't often see that kind of longevity anywhere in the world.
I mean, I don't know, how long it'll be before somebody else in MLS has a 15-year run.
Kansas City working it to the far side. Shelton entry ball finds Garcia, who gets the shot away. Appeals for a handball against Ibiaga, who made the block. Sort of half-hearted appeals. Musa out to Julio. Julio tries to go through the legs of Tommy, but he was on an adventure all alone there up the right side. And now Kansas City again dropping in behind for Tommy. Going to get a lot of these opportunities 1v1 against Shaq Moore. Joveljic, they are just stonewalled by Alvaro, who showed his physical prowess, and that is certainly not in question with the frame and the athleticism that he's got.
I said a while ago, he's got the physical ability. His challenge is to read the game at a high level, make sure he's not make sure he's up to the speed of the game at the high level. So far, so good, I'd say.
One other report is he does have the shirt tucked. Maybe the Kaique influence lives on, even as he's suspended with 5 yellow cards today.
Doesn't look like Sporting Kansas City is very interested in pressing the young man, so that's sort of working in Dallas's favor.
Pedrinho, early ball at the top for Lucho Acosta, who's in behind Kyrie Shelton, trying to bring it down, but Shelton gets back in time.
Good ball from Pedrinho. Dropped into a good spot for Acosta.
Header one there in midfield by Pedrinho, but it breaks for Kansas City, who may have a chance to counter here. Davis goes on the overlap of Suleimanov. Here's Jake Davis, early cross in towards Joveljic, and it's Shaq Moore with a nice sliding clearance to put it out on the far side with some distance behind it as well. Time on the ball for Garcia, lifted out to Ndimbe. Back to Garcia. He's really starting to find his feet. And MLS, coming over from the Greek League in the offseason alongside Suleimanov. Those two coming from the same club. A late whistle here, and that's going to give Kansas City a free kick. Eric Tommy on the ground.
Yeah, I thought Dallas was about to get away with one there, but Demianchuk was just playing a little bit of advantage, and as that ball circulated off of Tommy's foot under the right side, it's Anderson Julio with the foul and not the best spot. Didn't really need to foul Eric Tommy there, I don't think.
A certain type of free kick taker wouldn't mind this range if you can really hit a sort of a knuckleball with some power behind it, but it's going to be a tough ask. Dead center on probably 35 yards or so. Martin Paz setting a 4-player wall. Now reduced to 3 as the Jet steps away. Eric Tommy, who had his penalty kick saved by Martin Paz famously at Toyota Stadium a couple seasons ago, sizes up the all-star goalkeeper here from much further away. Kansas City going to try and unsight Martin with a couple extra players in the wall of their own. Looks like Tommy will go for goal here. It's Eric Tommy on the approach, deflects off the top of the Dallas wall and behind for a corner.
Was it off the Dallas wall or off one of the Sporting Kansas City players? I wasn't quite sure.
They're setting up for a corner.
Yep.
Pedrinho with his hand up covering his face. He needs to bring that down. I guess you're not inside the box,
not
but
inside
still.
the penalty area, yeah, but it's a bad habit.
I mean, he's got some nice dental work, but you got to be willing to put it on the line there. Looks like it's going to be an out-swinging service this time from the near side. Suleimanov whips it in all the way through, breaks for Davis, corner of the 18 on the far side. And the cross blocked and down in pain, I believe that's Shaq Moore. He paid the price for this block in an uncomfortable area. Now helped to his feet by the referee.
By uncomfortable area, you mean right there outside the penalty area, right?
Right, yeah. He's on the left. He's used to being on the right. Actually, maybe just the wind knocked out of him.
Yeah.
It was a little higher up than I expected.
Got him in the ribs.
Kansas City will set up a throw-in as if it's a corner here. A long throw coming. It's Bartlett who launches it in. A lot of air underneath this one, and it's a bullet right into the arms of Martin Paz, who had to contend with Kyrie Shelton. And actually, the referee called a foul on Shelton.
I'm not sure I saw a foul there, so either way, possession goes to Dallas. Good moment for Martin Paz.
Paz not involved for Indonesia. He made the globe-trotting plane flight there and back, but was suspended for the first game and was on the bench for the second as they qualified for the next round in the Asian Confederation, keeping their hopes of playing in the World Cup alive. But he's got to fight for the starting job with Indonesia going forward for sure. Great ball from Alvaro, switching it from right to left to find Lucho Acosta in stride. He sizes up Kyrie Shelton. 1-2 with Petter Musa into the 18 along the left side. Cutback ball for Patrickson. Patrickson can't get the shot away. It's a sliding intervention there from Fernandez to keep it away from the Dallas number 6. Now Kansas City seesawing the other way. Suleimanov waits this ball in behind for the run of Joveljic. Alvaro in pursuit. Alvaro defending inside the 18, gets a foot on the ball and will track this down to prevent a corner. Didn't get much behind the clearance though. Breaks for Garcia. Now Eric Tommy along the left side. We'll check it back for Ndembe, and the impetus of that counterattack is gone for the moment. Now across to Suleimanov with Ibiaga defending in space. Suleimanov shot towards the near post, and that one into the wrong side of the side netting from his perspective. Martin Paz watching that one wide down to his left.
Sorry, Ryan, you go back a second ago. I mean, what a good attack. Alvaro to Musa, to Acosta to Musa, back to Acosta. I mean, that's exactly what Eric Quild has drawn up. That's the platonic ideal of what he wants right there. Direct attack, good quality. Ends up as a nice ball across from Acosta. Delgado just can't. He wanted to take one touch and try to get the shot off and just couldn't manage that. But really good moment there for FC Dallas.
Yeah, two good moments for Alvaro. The ball out, great diagonal hit on a rope. out to Acosta, and then defending 1-against-1 with Jovic inside the 18. And then he sort of got the clearance wrong after that, but those are the mistakes that you can live with in that position as opposed to inside the box.
I'd say that clearance, he just kind of scuffed. It was the first thing that I've seen from him that he made any kind of a mistake.
Moore trying to go in behind for Julio, out of his reach, but he'll chase it down towards Postgame, who plays out on the far side to Shelton into midfield for Bartlett. Now switching it back to Ndimbe with Julio out of position momentarily. Acosta coming across to help out defensively as it's wide with Tommy. Tommy on a dart towards the edge of the 18, finds the feet of Ndimbe. Now space for him on the corner of the box, closed down by Alvaro. Ndimbe back for Bartlett. Nice touch back to Garcia. Kansas City probing on the left, now switch it to the right. Suleimanov with the goal. 1-1 your score, 30 minutes in. Space for Manu Garcia centrally. Chipped out to Tommy on the left side. Tommy, as he released it, dumped to the turf by Julio. We play on. Ball at the feet of Manu Garcia. Into the box for Ndimbe, return to Garcia. And Julio just gets his body in the way there and shields it behind for a goal kick.
Dallas got away with one there because Julio definitely got him off the ball, interrupting the run.
Looks like we might be headed for a hydration break. I think I saw the referee make the signal towards the benches.
It is June. We got these coming through July, August, into September.
Well, we've got these coming. A couple of ad reads coming your way here as we talk through the hydration break. You can join us for 3 Points Wednesday when FC Dallas is back home on Wednesday, June 25th to host the San Jose Earthquakes. $3 beers and $1 hot dogs for the only time this season as FC Dallas fights for 3 points at home. For tickets and more information, please visit fcdallastickets.com. And don't miss FC Dallas Rewinds on KDFI More 27 every Tuesday night during the regular season at 7 p.m. You can watch FC Dallas Soccer for free on KDFI More 27. This free over-the-air channel is available everywhere in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. We'll have a couple different weeks where we don't have a game at the weekend. We replayed the North Texas SC Championship game this week just gone. We'll replay the Houston win and the Miami win as well as the summer goes on. Catch that every Tuesday at 7 on KDFI.
60% of the possession going to Sporting Kansas City right now. 5 shots for the home team, 1 for FC Dallas. That, of course, Musa's 10th minute goal, his 5th strike this year.
And some positive signs, I think, outside of the goal conceded, particularly for Alvaro, who was the biggest question mark in the 11 today. And he's acquitted himself pretty well for somebody who, you know, this is his debut at the top level in any country. He was playing in the reserve league in Portugal, and he's played with North Texas 7 games this season, but by far the biggest stage for him in his young career. And 30 minutes, I think he's got at least a passing grade. Dallas, if you're just joining us, without a couple of players through suspension, Abubakar and Kayike, additionally missing Uriguide and Ramiro, and meaning they're deep down the depth chart in those central defensive positions. Always seems to be some weird lineup quirks when they go to Kansas City. I mean, I know Nolan Norris the last 2 years has started, and those have been some of his only minutes of the entire season. When I saw that he might be potentially in the lineup, depending on his international duty, I was like, of course, we're going to Kansas City. Nolan's going to start. He always has, and he always will. But he's instead available off the bench tonight.
He was playing as a center back on the second team yesterday in training. It was his first training with FC Dallas since getting back off that international trip. I think tonight we might see him, though, as a 6. I think I don't know how long Sebastian Lletget will go tonight.
Yeah, if you remember anything about last season, and if you've blocked it out and forgotten, I don't blame you. Dallas went to Kansas City to play 2 straight games. They played 3 days apart in the league and then an Open Cup, and they started the reserve squad in the league. It was Pondeka and Norris in midfield. It was a mixed match 11 for sure. And Dallas going out of the Open Cup 3 days later in extra time, unfortunately. And that sort of meant the season sputtered out from there.
It's funny because in league games, at Sporting Kansas City, Dallas has done okay since 17. They're 4-2-2 in league games. It just seems like a tough place for them because they've lost so often there in the Open Cup.
Musa dropping deep. Going to receive it back from Ebiaga. Now switches it over to Alvaro and makes his run back up to the forward line. Alvaro looking for options, finds Patrickson, who will go back to Paz. Dallas not seeing what they like in terms of progressing the ball, but not being pressured with the ball at the foot of Martin Paz, way outside the 18 here.
But I kind of don't mind Dallas having a little bit slower tempo tonight because, again, they want the ball as much as possible because they've got those three midfielders who are attack-minded and definitely not defense-minded.
Acosta scrapping for a second ball off the long ball into Musa, and he wins it. Now out to Farfan on the far side. Runners inside the 18. Farfan chops it back. Acosta off the outside of his right foot, looking for the run of Shaq Moore. He wins the header in towards Musa. Good leap from Shaq Moore. Kansas City able to defend it. And now clear it down the left side. Alvaro with Joveljic on his back does well to get it back to Martin Paz just in time.
I wasn't sure he knew he had Joveljic on his back there, but he figured it out in time.
Dallas now advancing it up the right side. Moore back to Patrickson and Leggett. Patrickson going to switch it over to Ibeagha. A lot of space for the Dallas left center back to bring it once again into the Kansas City half. Now again over to Alvaro. Sort of see the team having more and more confidence to give him the ball as the game goes on. Switched out now to Farfan. Nice cross, bending in towards Patrickson, arriving just out of his reach. It's retrieved by Julio on the near side. Julio faces up in Dembe and wins a corner, the first of the game, coming for Dallas.
Patrickson almost getting on the end of that. You know, he's only had one shot on target this year. If he's going to play in those advanced positions, they've got to get just a little bit more out of him. Sometimes he gets a little too comfortable with the lateral negative passes.
He does have a nose for those moments. You can sort of see him recognize it and start to go full sprint into the 18. He had 4 goals last year and 1 more in Open Cup. Acosta going to ready the corner kick from the near side here in the 36th minute. Dallas setting up all across the top of the box, delaying their runs as Acosta raises the arm twice. Cueing the runs, now a sky-high ball towards the back post, targeting Ibeagha, wins the header, trying to knock it down for a teammate, and it's cleared away by Suleimanov.
Yeah, I mentioned Sporting Kansas City with a lot of trouble defending set pieces this year.
Not much of a test. First opportunity there for Dallas with the corner kick. Mix up along the right side. Julio gives it away. Now Manu Garcia, defended by Patrickson, across to Jake Davis. Davis thought about a shot from distance, finds Suleimanov, corner of the 18, same area he scored before. Went for the back heel, but the run a little bit delayed there by Davis, and Ibeagha puts it out for a throw for the home side.
You know, Anderson Julio with his 4 goals this year, he's done well attacking, but right there, you said it, he gave the ball away. And then if he just is a little bit more reactive and gets on his horse, you know, he's got Garcia right in front of him. He could have gotten the ball right back, but he just sort of stops for a couple of seconds. Well, that's all Garcia needed to get the ball and get it going, get the attack going for his side. Anderson Julio just got to be a little bit more defensively responsible there.
Pedrinho scrapping there with Jake Davis, but it's Davis who comes away with it. Now Tommy popping up centrally, out to Ndembe. Looking for the 1-2 here. Tommy now, options either side. Patrickson sliding, thinking the shot was coming. Tommy keeps it on the dribble, moving from left to right. Suleimanov into Tommy. Kansas City moving the ball quickly in the attacking third, but largely kept to the wide areas so far. Back out to the right side with Davis. Into Tommy, into Joveljic, top of the 18. Joveljic tiptoes past 2, and then couldn't find a teammate, and Leggett will bring it clear.
The entry ball into Joveljic there, just Dallas with those attack-minded midfielders not really playing the passing lanes very well. It's just too easy for him to find a spot about 17 yards out, gets turned, and they're lucky he wasn't able to unleash a shot there.
Garcia sees the run in behind. Ibeagha defending it. Suleimanov. Suleimanov goes down, wants a penalty. Referee has a think about it. Nothing given. Ibeagha sort of lunged out to try and block a potential shot. Tough to see because the camera shakes right as it happens. Don't think it's enough to warrant another look. Instead, it'll be a corner kick.
It was funny. It was sort of clumsy on both of the players' parts.
Looks like we will resume with a corner kick that Suleimanov himself will take here in the 40th minute. Shelton, the tallest player in there for Kansas City at 6'3". Miller, an option, as well as Fernandez to try and aim at for Suleimanov, who actually will continue to hold it here. They're having a look for sure. And now waved on to continue by the referee. There will be no penalty. Suleimanov goes short. Acosta thought he had a bead on it. Ball into the area. Defended by Musa. Breaks for Joveljic. Top of the 18. Joveljic trying to slip a teammate in behind. Well defended there by the Dallas block. Ball in behind towards the back post, but that's Martin Poss out to come and claim.
Yeah, good little reverse pass there. Ibeagha was aware and got his leg up and knocked that one away.
Acosta had sniffed out the short corner, but he couldn't snuff out the short corner. Got a touch on it, but couldn't fully prevent the service.
Well, one worry for FC Dallas tonight was that Legetta's at pivot as the holding midfielder. You know, that's one of your main jobs, to be that single pivot in there. You sort of worried that maybe he wasn't sort of used to playing that right in that hole. But Sporting Kansas City hasn't pressed him at all. They're letting Dallas just keep the ball in the back. They're setting up as a mid block. So far it's worked to FC Dallas's advantage.
Wonder if that's something that they would spot at halftime. Obviously, you don't really plan during the week for these sort of strange lineup quirks, although they could have, because a lot of it was suspension based. Here's the ball in behind for Anderson. Julio gets there first. Postcamp out off his line, but it's Jansen Miller with a sliding intervention to clear it away, as Julio, out of nothing, nearly gave Dallas a lead here in the first half.
Well, it's a great ball from Shaq Moore from right at the midfield stripe along the right side. Henderson Julio does a great job of pulling that ball down, getting around Postcamp, who's out of no man's land there, but as he gets around, he just can't get the ball past Jansen Miller.
If he had lifted it at all, it would have been tough to clear out off the line. He got it on target, which can actually be more difficult than you think in those situations with all the momentum carrying you towards the byline. It's a corner. Lucho Acosta will take. And towards Alvaro, and it's Ibeagha on the volley, blocked back to him. Farfan on the left side has targets to aim at, drops it off for Ibeagha, not really comfortable in those wide areas, and he can't find a teammate. It's behind for a goal kick.
Not sure what Ibeagha was doing out there. He needed to be inside, looking for a header on the second phase. Tried to do what he did a couple of weeks ago in Cincinnati. A really nice snapping header into that far post. Got caught out wide there.
Not for the first time this season, Julio robbed of a goal by a terrific play from the opposition. I think about his attempt from halfway against Houston. Starting to become the type of guy who hits it home run distance but gets robbed more often than not.
I tell you what, though, Shaq Moore, terrific job there on that ball he dropped in. Of course, he's got the assist on the first goal.
Tommy dumped to the turf by Shaq Moore. A little bit clumsy in the tackle there. Shaq Moore picking up his second assist of the season to go with one goal back against Miami in the team's last win in regular season play. Couple minutes from halftime, tied up at 1 at Children's Mercy Park. Kansas City loose with the ball there. Musa trying to dribble it clear, runs in to the opposition, and Davis fighting for this one. Farfan scrapping with him, and those two wrestling to the byline. Farfan not happy. Referee gets in the way.
Jake Davis is a scrappy player. A couple little kickouts there from both players.
Well, Farfan, I think he thought he was going to have an easy time shielding it over, and then Davis made sure he didn't. Still, he managed to get it over the line for a goal kick. The war of words ensued.
I don't know if I saw anything too terrible in there from either player. They're getting a talking to, which seems like a pretty good solution from Demianchuk, the man in the middle.
Well, there's a face of the week candidate from Jake Davis as the referee walked away. The most teenage girl sarcastic eye roll you've ever seen.
45th minute, 1-1. I'd say all things considered, pretty good half for FC Dallas.
Yeah, I had some concerns as the first goal went in for sure, but as they've done so often, they quickly found a response. And all things considered, have settled into the game rather well.
Yeah, haven't made Martin Paz work too hard in Dallas goal. 8 minutes of stoppage.
Wow. The first half. I guess you add on the hydration break tax now, which is going to be a guaranteed 2 or 3 minutes. Had a concussion check for Manu Garcia. There have been some stoppages. That's a whole nother chunk of game that we'll play here in the first half.
I'm not sure I saw 8 minutes, but it's all right. It's been a decent match, so I don't mind.
Of course, Dallas this year literally statistically twice as good away from home in terms of points per game. 1.4 on the road, third best record in the Western Conference on their travels, but just 0.7 points per game at home. Musa's gone down here holding his head, and he's got a free kick. Joaquin
Fernandez just climbed up on top of Mount Musa there, didn't he?
Well, we saw the teenage Hidebe moment in Cincinnati that could have been a red card against Peter Musa, who is used to taking that physical contact as he tries to hold up the play.
Yeah, that was a foul. The thing that Hidebe did was it was a real error on VAR's part that wasn't a red card.
Leggett all the way back to Martin Paz, who will split the center backs here on it outside of his penalty box. Closed down by Suleimanov. He goes to his right for Alvaro. Back to Paz now. Joveljic closing down. Pedrinho is the deepest midfielder here for Dallas. Kansas City now interested in pressing.
Yeah, on cue, Kansas City decides to start pressing, and Pedrinho's got to be careful there as he receives the ball, as he did a second ago, and almost got himself in trouble. He's got to understand that it's really different. The calculations are different when you're in your own third of the field.
Now he's advancing it on the dribble through the middle third. Finds Acosta in the center circle. There's runners up the right side for Dallas here. Musa makes the run to open up space for Shaq Moore. Quick exchange, ball in behind. Lucho looking for Julio, just out of his reach. Joaquin shields it back to Postgame.
I thought that was a really good ball from Lucho Acosta. A really good, a nice vertical attack there from FC Dallas. I think Anderson Julio maybe saw it late, or he couldn't figure out how he wanted to get his feet sorted out. Something was sort of odd there.
Pedrinho some good defending against Shelton, but he's got two players to try and deal with. And then Shelton takes a swipe at Marco Farfan. Yellow card out of the pocket to the referee. I believe for Shelton, they're showing us Suleimanov right now. Farfan gonna be helped to his feet by Sebastian Ibiaga as we've played 3 minutes of 8 stoppage time minutes in the first half.
All right, get another look at it here, and yeah, Shelton was just laid in a challenge on Marco Farfan. The ball was well off his foot, so well-deserved yellow card there for Sporting Kansas City's right back. Converted striker. Don't see that too often. I guess he was really more of a winger early in his days, and then as Sporting Kansas City got desperate for strikers, they tried to make him one.
Ibiaga diagonal out to Julio, left to right. Julio brings it down. Tiptoes past two defenders. Finds Pedrinho. Looking to link up with Lucho Acosta, who's on it here in the center circle. Leggett back in the lineup today. His first involvement since April 5th against Atlanta United. Dallas DP is dropping deep here to try and orchestrate the play. And Leggett further forward, wins the free kick, goes quickly, finds Musa, who's making the run up the center channel. Dropped out wide right for Shaq Moore. Musa looking for the flick to find Lucho off the mark, and Musa is going to take a yellow card here, but then he's gone down, and I don't like the look of this for Petar Musa. I hope it's just a contact thing, but he's holding that same left foot. He tweaked the ankle earlier in the season.
Well, as he spun him on that foul, and he got his foot stepped on.
He's going to get a yellow card, but I'm very happy to report that he did get his foot stepped on, and he didn't tweak the ankle as he was spinning there. So the goal scorer for Dallas booked as he had tried to get a little adventurous with the passing, and I think he took the accountability of taking the yellow card to stop the counter.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an issue for Dallas this year. You know, just really too many yellow cards, and you know, it's starting to, the suspensions are starting to mount up, and you know, Sazi Urguide is going to get back, Ramiro is going to get back at some point, and they're both already in some yellow card jeopardy.
I'm not sure if you know the rule exactly, but is there a hard reset point in the season, or is it on an individual basis?
I think it's just individual.
Okay. We'll do some more digging on that one. I know there's a good behavior policy where if you go without a yellow card for, I believe, 3 games, then you get 1 taken away.
Yeah, but you got to be on the field, as you know. I know you know that.
Yeah, otherwise a quick injury would wipe your slate clean. Garcia, time on the ball here in midfield. Got 2 minutes to play here in the first half, stoppage time. And Dembe, a lot of space for him. Thought about a cross a couple of times, got Patrickson up in the air. Instead checks back for Garcia. Shelton, a little bit of a loose ball there, and Acosta is going to try and intercept it before it got to Miller. Just about reached Kansas City center back. Keep possession on the right side. Joveljic making a run in behind, tracked by Iviaga. Davis back to Fernandez. On to the left side for Ndembe. Tommy tripped up by Julio. Referee is going to whistle for a foul here. Julio trying to hop the passing lane there and just got a piece of the Kansas City captain. He got a yellow card there as well. Yeah, maybe for persistent infringement.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Probably so. It's Delgado fouling a while ago when he didn't really need to. Anderson Julio, he just got to go defend there. Doesn't have to foul, so he gives Sporting Kansas City a chance to line something up on a free kick from the left side.
This might be the final action of the first half. Got just about a minute to go. Dallas setting their line on the edge of the 18. Suleimanov lining up the free kick from the near side. He'll be off his left foot, which scored the opening goal just about 40 minutes ago. Lucho Acosta, the one-man Dallas wall. A lot of air underneath this one, and it's all the way through. Too much air underneath it. It's behind for a goal kick, and Suleimanov got that one all wrong. And he's got some apologetic waves to his teammates in the aftermath.
Sometimes you hold one hand up, and say, my bad, that time it was such a poor free kick, he held both hands up.
And that should just about do it as the final seconds tick down here in the first half. And Steve, all things considered, with the lineup headaches that Eric Quill had coming into this game, I don't think he'll be displeased with the first half efforts of his team going into the break square at 1.
No, I'm sure they'd like to have a couple of more attempts at goal, give John Polskamp a little bit more to do, but I think there were some good attacking sequences, and they kept Martin Paz from being too busy.
Shapi Suleimanov opening the scoring in the 8th minute. Petar Musa moments later, restoring parity. 1-1 is your score heading into the halftime break. We'll talk through what we saw in the opening 45 on the halftime show. You're listening to FC Dallas at Sporting Kansas City here on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Marco Farfan, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
After 45 plus at Children's Mercy Park, it's FC Dallas 1 and Sporting Kansas City 1 as the Toros start their second half campaign here in Major League Soccer. Hello everybody, it is the FC Dallas halftime show brought to you tonight by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you this evening by AdvoCare, building champions together. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in a few moments by the voices of tonight's contest, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. But first, let's start with their first half highlights and stats. It was Shapi Suleimanov in the 8th minute of this one getting the scoring started for the visitors. Just an absolute rocket launched over the shoulder of Martin Paas. That started the scoring at 1-0 Kansas City in the 8th minute. But it only took 3 minutes for FC Dallas to respond in the form of the Moose.
Leggett seeing a lot of the ball early on. Musa with a 1-2 here. Musa in behind for Shaq Moore along the right side. Cross towards the back post. Musa there, and he equalizes right away. There's the impact from Petr Musa as he grabs his 5th goal of the season to knot things up at 1 here. 10 minutes gone at Children's Mercy Park.
A clinical finish from the Moose there in the 11th minute. That made it 1-1 all at Children's Mercy, and that is where we stand at the halftime break. Let's bring you tonight's halftime stats, which are brought to you by UMB Bank. Possession-wise goes the way of the home side, Kansas City, 54-46. 5 shots for SKC, 4 for Dallas, yet each team has 2 shots on target. 4 corners for the home side, 2 for the visitors. 1 save for Martin Paas, no saves for John Pulskamp. 6 fouls for KC, 4 for FCD. 1 yellow card for the former Wizards, 2 yellow cards for the current Toros. As we bring in our commentary team for tonight, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. And Ryan, your first thoughts after 45 and a little bit extra over at Children's Mercy Park.
Yeah, a lot of extra by the standards of first half stoppage time. I think, the team acquitted themselves pretty well. I don't think we saw much that we hadn't seen before from this team in terms of the sort of budding growth, the stems that we're hoping to nourish over the course of the season in the attacking side of things. It was there in moments, but it wasn't there consistently. But the pieces that you're most worried about, Sebastian Leggett at the number 6 and Alvaro in the middle, I think they performed very well, especially after the goal went in from Suleimanov. Steve Davis?
Yeah, actually, I think there were some good attacking sequences. Lucho Acosta involved with quite a few of them. I thought, I think Shaq Moore and Marco Farfan have done a pretty good job of providing some width in the attack. So I actually did see a few things that I did like. The game has sort of been played at a low tempo, so you're not going to get a lot of moments in there, really on either side. So if you're going to go on the road in a low tempo game and give me as a road team 5 or 6 of those really good attacking sequences a half, I'm going to take that. And they're sitting here at 1-1, so I'm okay with it.
When we spoke to Eric Quill yesterday, Steve, he mentioned the idea he wanted to be ultra attacking. He wanted this team to get forward and show its roots. You mentioned the tempo. That is obviously playing into how it looks for both sides. But given that his mission was such, how do you think it's paying off within the context of the game?
Yeah, it's okay. That part. You're sacrificing a lot of bite in midfield. On the first goal we saw it where nobody stepped out on Suleimanov quickly enough. There's players around, but when you have players who are all sort of, Leggett and Pedri and Delgado, they're all sort of attack-minded. They're thinking offense first. So you've got to have those guys in there who recognize the danger and just step out on that guy a little bit quicker. So if you're going to sacrifice that, I do want to see those guys, Pedrinho, Delgado in particular, have a little bit more offensive impact, and I'm not sure I've seen enough attacking impact from them. As I said, the attacking impact that we're seen some good runs out of Anderson Julio. We've seen some good push up the wings from Farfan and from Shaq Moore on the right, and then we've seen some good moments from Lucho Acosta. I need a little bit more offensive impact from Pedrinho and Delgado.
Yeah, I mean, the goal was very similar to Jack McGlynn, the game against Houston at home earlier in the season, where it's a player that, maybe more so with McGlynn, you really don't want to give that kind of space. But even with Suleimanov, he's got the quality and he's very left-footed. So when he cuts onto his left foot, you just have to have the presence of mind to close him down. I mean, Kansas City is notorious, even at their best, for being a team that circulates the ball left to right. They don't really penetrate through the middle very often, but that means you have to be intense in closing the ball down. You can't just be lax, let them walk up to the edge of the box and take a shot, and that's kind of ultimately what happened on the goal. And from there, they switched on a little bit more. They were more aggressive. They had a little more bite, but this is not any of those guys' natural game is to be a defensive midfielder, but they've got it. They have to do it today. I mean, that's the personnel issue that Dallas has with no Ramiro, no Kaique, and potentially only Nolan Norris in the second half. So they have to do it. Otherwise, Dallas won't come away with the result they want today.
Ryan, obviously one of the big storylines coming in was the debut of the 20-year-old Alvaro, who had never set foot on a first division field anywhere, be it his home country, Brazil, Portugal, or the United States. What do you think about his performance through 45, with the caveat of, is he performing relative to expectations, or is he just flat out performing?
I think he's just flat out performing. I mean, 32 out of 33 with his passing, won all of his duels, 40 touches. Here's the caveat that I'll set. They didn't press him. And I'm surprised they didn't press him because he's a young player, like you said, making his first start. And he doesn't have, Leggett is about as tidy as they get when it comes to, patrolling in front of that in possession. But he's also not used to being a 6 in the passing lanes and all of these things that Steve has talked about in the first half. I'm really surprised that SKC didn't come out, guns blazing, press Alvaro, because, no matter who you are in Major League Soccer, you're going to have a mistake in you, especially along the back line. We see it every single week. There's faux pas and mistakes, all across the country, but especially a young defender. Just to see that they were content to let him pick his pass, and on one occasion he picked an excellent pass to switch the ball. He completed his only long ball out to Lucho Acosta, who took it in stride and advanced the ball into a dangerous moment for Dallas. So I think he can be a little bit grateful to the Kansas City game plan that he didn't have to try and play through, intense pressure, but he didn't, and that's the game that he played, and he played it rather well in the first half.
Yeah, and defensively, the caveat that you would add is that Sporting Kansas City is still trying to figure themselves out. They're not, they're one of the poor teams in the West, so it was always going to be a little bit easier test that way. But defensively, I thought he's been fine. He hasn't looked rattled at all. The one mistake he made, it wasn't even a big one, as he won a ball and took it into the corner. He tried to clear it, and he just sort of scuffed the clearance. Sporting Kansas City picked up the ball at about 25 yards out along the wing. So, you're still in pretty good defensive position, so it wasn't a big major error there, and it didn't turn into anything. So, honestly, for his first 45 minutes at this level, I'd say pretty darn good.
Before we look at the second half changes, Steve, 2 corner kicks for Dallas in that first half. Kansas City has not been very good this year in defending set pieces, in general, corners in specific. Is that something you'd like to see Dallas kind of make a more effort towards making their game plan as they're sitting here tied?
Yeah, look, set pieces, we say it all the time. It's all about the delivery. The first delivery was just overhit. I think it was something sort of aimed toward the far post, but it was still overcooked a little bit. Second one, same thing. I think the second one, the delivery was better, but it didn't turn into much. So, yes, I would like to see them put the ball, no more of this, big ball out to the back post looking for the ball that goes back across. put a ball in the near post, put a ball in the middle, make them defend it, try to get a screen in there, which is what Sporting Kansas City is doing with Joveljic, trying to get Delgado loose off of him. So, yes, a little better delivery. Stop looking for the knockbacks, put it right in the middle of the box.
Well, let's talk about the second half because we do expect to see at least one change that we know of. That's Sebastian Lletget, who's making his return from injury, Ryan. And we expect somewhere between 45 and 60 minutes at the very best. Assuming that he is coming off, it's probably Nolan Norris that's coming on. How would you want to deploy him as he joins the game tonight?
Yeah, I think it'll be, if that is the change, it'll be pretty like for like. But I think Dallas will have to be aware that what they're losing when Lletget comes off the field, because he's been the sort of safety valve for everybody else around him. And we know that's one of his best qualities, is just being so secure with the ball. And he was in the first half, without a doubt. He did not look rusty at all. And we know he's been out training for a matter of weeks now. He was available off the bench last time, but 37 out of 39 with his passing and 43 touches. I mean, he was a real metronome for the team. So can Norris replicate that level of security? We've seen it, particularly at the next pro level and in the championship run for North Texas SC. He was really good in midfield, but not at this level. We haven't seen him be clean in that same way as Lletget can be. So the team around him has to be aware that he's not Sebastian Lletget, and they don't need to be giving him the ball with three guys around him and let him figure his way out of the telephone booth, because that's what Lletget can do. Norris can be a little bit more defensive, bring some more bite to that position, and I think it could help Dallas have a little bit more of a platform for Delgado and Pedrinho to influence the attacking side.
I'd also say that, look, because we talked about the sort of lower tempo match, the speed of this match isn't high, so I think maybe he can go a little bit longer. I would anticipate 60 minutes, maybe even 65, something like that.
Meanwhile, moving away from Du Bois, Steve, what do you think is something that Dallas could do with the resources they have to try to give them an edge in this admittedly lower tempo game?
Well, maybe Siki and Sabali can come in. He's a guy that can move the ball through the midfield a little bit more. I mentioned that Delgado is sometimes a little bit too comfortable with the lateral or the negative passes. Pedrinho hasn't been able to really put a stamp on the game with the ball, so maybe somebody like that can come into the midfield. We always know that Logan Farrington can come in. I think if Farrington comes in, he'll give you a little bit more defensive effort over there against Eric Tommy, and that's where Sporting Kansas City is having some success. Is Anderson Julio. Again, he's not a defender, but he gets caught sort of inside too much, and then he doesn't get out to Eric Tommy quickly enough. So maybe that's a change that Dallas could make.
Yeah, one to watch is Julio picked up that late yellow card in the first half stoppage time. So maybe Leo Chu or Bernard Kuingo could be in to bring that width that he provides if they feel like that's an issue in the second half.
Well, honors currently even at Children's Mercy Park, 1-1 between FC Dallas and Sporting Kansas City. That's going to do it for the halftime show. When we return, Ryan and Steve will have the second half of action from the Fountain City. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Hi everyone, it's Paxton Pomacall, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Well, as the sun sets behind the Kansas City skyline, we'll play the second half under the lights at Children's Mercy Park. Honors even after 45 minutes. Goals from Shapi Suleimanov and Petr Musa. I mean, we sit here at 1-1 after the first half. And Steve, a relatively comfortable half for Dallas after the goal went in for Kansas City. Do we feel like they'll need more at the attacking end, or do you think they'll be content coming out for the second half in the way that it went?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that I thought there were enough good attacking sequences. You know, you'd like to see a couple more of them turn into shots. You mentioned the one ball that came from Alvaro out of the back, that went into Acosta, back to Musa, back to Acosta, and Delgado couldn't get the shot off from right in front of goal. So if you could get turn a couple more of the sequences into shots, you'd be doing okay.
Now let's gets the ball back rolling. Alvaro into Sebastian Lletget, who has come out for the second half. No changes immediately spotted on either side. Alvaro trying to hit that diagonal switch. This time got it wrong. A little bit of a fortunate bounce off of Suleimanov back to Ibeagha.
I mean, he wasn't even close with that one, poor guy.
And it likely will be forgotten to history. Delgado with some time in midfield. Head up, going to switch the play out to Farfan, who's released up the left side. Heavy first touch, but he'll retrieve it. Into Pedrinho on the halfway line, trying to get turned. Flicks it ahead for Farfan. Back heel into the path of Acosta. Pedrinho wide left. Pedrinho waits for the runs. Now finds Patrickson centrally, popped up into the air, trying to claim the second ball. The whistle goes, maybe for a handball against Patrickson there, or an arm raised against Garcia. If that's it, it wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, Patrickson just, we talked about it at halftime, just he needs to give him a little bit more.
Musa forcing Fernandez one way, pushing him out towards the left, where Shaq Moore's defending against Tommy. Tommy keeps it moving to Ndimbe, making the overlapping run. And it will be a Kansas City throw once they get the second ball off the field. Tommy with Kansas City moving from left to right here in the second half. Suleimanov closed down by Pedrinho. Suleimanov going to let this one run out of play and content to have a corner kick opportunity here.
Nice little dribbling moment there from Shapi. Got by Pedrinho, couldn't get by Marco Farfan though.
Have another corner kick, an in swinger from the near side into the danger area, headed away by Julio. Loose ball picked up by Bartlett. Garcia out to the far side. Eric Tommy defended by Moore. Tommy trying to get to his right foot, corner of the 18. Overlap comes from Ndimbe, chipped over the top towards him by Garcia. First time ball into the area, and Martin Paas out off his line to come and claim.
Yeah, Martin Paas about the third, maybe fourth time tonight he's come off his line to catch a ball. Had a pretty comfortable night so far.
Not much you really think he could have done about the goal. And he's had a lot of time on the ball, that's for sure, with Kansas City not really pressing as we're into the summer heat portion of the season. Now they will press. Dallas works it up the left side. Pedrinho receives it. Pressure from Bartlett. Pedrinho goes down. And he's won a free kick. Courtesy of young Jacob Bartlett, who, if that name sounds familiar, is the brother of former FC Dallas draft pick Lucas Bartlett. Now DC.
I'm not sure he did win a free kick. It was just a throw-in. I think Demianchuk judging that he'd gone down a little easily.
Well, now Pedrinho's given away a free kick, and he's picked up a yellow card as well for a tug of the jersey. That's another Dallas player booked, as the cards have started coming out since stoppage time started, really.
Yeah. Musa and Anderson Julio with the other yellow cards.
Pedrinho playing a different role tonight as a true central midfielder. Not an attacking player in this configuration. But largely, so far, the story of the season for him has continued in that he's been more active and involved in goals off the bench than from the start. There's Kansas City freeing up Suleimanov centrally, ball in behind, well defended by Ebiaga. And now Patrickson skips past his defender and plays that off the left side where Acosta and Pedrinho, neither of them able to retrieve it. It's out for a throw.
That curious of Wagner, the coach there, was going to tackle Pedrinho on the sideline.
Well, you mentioned that was his nature as a player.
Yeah.
Now Kansas City up the left with Tommy. Patrickson defending. Julio goes barreling in and gives away another free kick. That's maybe the third or fourth time he's done that, including the yellow card in the first half.
And then Delgado interrupts the free kick. He's lucky to get out without a yellow card. He's getting an earful now from two Sporting Kansas City players about that. Demianchuk is.
It's been a little bit of a season-long issue for Dallas. The discipline with yellow cards, discipline with free kicks, and when and where to give them away.
Yeah, of course, the last game they played a couple of weeks ago, they played an hour, a full hour of it, with really an hour plus stoppage time, a man down.
Tommy is going to line up the free kick from a wide position on the far side. And bend this off his right foot, an in-swinger. Dallas sets the line a couple yards into their own 18-yard box. Tommy on the approach, flat service is headed away by Patrickson at the near post. Garcia centrally tries to slip through ball, and it hits the referee, who became the 12th man for Dallas in that moment.
You know, Ryan, that's the third free kick FC Dallas has allowed inside their defensive third. Sporting Kansas City isn't doing that much in the attack, so if they just got to be a little bit more judicious with where they're fouling. You know, for a bunch of years, Sporting Kansas City was just a foul machine, but they did it in the midfield third to where they weren't going to be dangerous free kicks. Dallas just needs to channel a little bit more of that.
Not sure what the weight here. Oh, there's a second ball on the field.
Seems to be a lot of that going around there in Children's Sports Park tonight.
We need the ball children to lock in. 52nd minute as the referee drops it at the feet of Garcia, and Kansas City resume their attack. Hernandez out to Shelton, who picked up the lone yellow card for SKC in the first half. Possession between the center backs for the home side. Now out to the left, Eric Tommy. And now Garcia. Garcia looking for the through ball into the path of Tommy. Now wide with Ndembe. Back to Garcia. Garcia through the lines, finds Tommy centrally, looking for the back heel towards Joveljic. Alvaro swings his left foot through it to clear. Dallas doing a lot of defending here in the opening 7 minutes of this second half. Davis up the right side, swings the cross in. Leggett stabs it clear. Bartlett retrieves the second ball to keep possession alive for SKC.
Yeah, Kansas City on the power play right now, aren't they? Dallas just can't get the ball clear.
It was Philly last week who truly was on the power play for an hour. Nice defensive header from Alvaro. Now Dallas will try and build under some pressure from SKC. Patrickson brings it forward to the feet of Acosta. Finds Pedrinho. Pedrinho on the dribble up the left side. Jake Davis for company. Two players meet him on the halfway line. He turns. Nice combination here with Acosta. Acosta between the lines, driving at the SKC back line. Lucho Acosta out to the right side, in behind for Anderson Julio. And he was tripped up as he made the pass, appealing for a foul, but nothing given. And it's overhit, rolls behind for a goal kick.
I think he did take a little contact from behind, but he'd already made the pass, trying to find, was it Julio or Shaq Moore making that run over there? I was watching behind the play to see if Demianchuk was going to call the foul.
Yeah, I think it was intended for Julio. Those are just the moments where, when Dallas signed Lucho Acosta, you sort of build your entire game plan around getting him in those moments. And truthfully, it just hasn't been as fruitful as you'd hope for the former MLS MVP.
I think he should have played that ball a little bit earlier and played it out wide, I believe, instead of trying to slightly more complicated pass, trying to play it through the lines. And catch Anderson Julio coming around on the other side.
Maybe a Dallas goal kick in the 54th minute here. Pass looking to retrieve the second ball, which has again found its way onto the field. Toyota Stadium renovations are underway, from a brand new roof that will cover every seat in the building to gorgeous new club spaces and a variety of new suites. Toyota Stadium is set to become one of the finest venues in MLS. To learn more, visit newtoyotastadium.com. SKC now stepping up the pressure, and Ibeagha goes long after Dallas had tried to build through the lines. Header there from Bartlett, back to Fernandez.
I mean, we wondered why they weren't pressing a little bit more, and I think they've sort of figured that out, that maybe Dallas is a little bit vulnerable to it tonight.
A nice header won by Alvaro out to Patrickson. Space for the Ecuadorian there. Quick exchange with Acosta. Acosta now with some space, gets free, finds Musa 20 yards out centrally, in behind for Acosta, who goes down, and Dallas heads to the spot. Lucho Acosta wins the penalty and gives Dallas a chance here to snatch a lead on the road at SKC.
Here's the question, though. Who takes it? Because neither Musa nor Acosta have been good from the spot this year. Big opportunity here for Dallas as Lucho Acosta and Pedro Musa play the 1-2. It wasn't the most vicious kick out, but there was definitely contact as Lucho Acosta took that ball, and it was Jansen Miller who did stick his leg out there sort of ill-advisedly. So Dallas is going to go to the 12-yard spot here.
Acosta missed at Colorado. Musa missed at home against Chicago.
Acosta also missed in that U.S. Open Cup match against the Red Bulls in the penalty kick tiebreaker.
It's Pedrinho with the ball in his hands right now. Musa and Leggett there around him. Pedrinho was the other one to miss in the Open Cup game, as they are going to review it. And I will be honest in that there is very little contact, but it seems like one that may not get overturned to me.
Well, you know, Miller doesn't need to be sticking his foot out there. Watching that replay, you're right, there's not a lot of contact, but just that he stuck his foot out in a way that he really shouldn't have. And so if there's any contact at all, you wonder if Pedrinho is just holding this ball, doing the thing where he's going to give it to Musa or Acosta.
Well, I will tell you that Pedrinho was great for North Texas last year from the spot as well, but his one chance for FC Dallas was a big one in that Open Cup game, and he was unable to convert. As we still wait for official confirmation from the video assistant referee tonight, Daniel Radford. Acosta now has the ball.
So Dallas this year, including that penalty kick tiebreaker and the two that you mentioned, 3 of 7 from the spot.
Looks like it will be Lucho Acosta if this is confirmed. But it's a long wait for whoever takes it for Dallas, as we're going to get another look at the replay here.
I think there's a little contact there from Miller and just sticking his foot out. You know, Jansen Miller's a young, he's a rookie.
And it is a confirmed penalty. Pulskamp now defending from 12 yards as Lucho Acosta stares him down. 8 for 10 in his last 10 penalties in Major League Soccer, but yet to convert for his new club. He's had a long wait to think about where he's going to place this one. Referee having a quick chat with Pulskamp in goal. Third opportunity from the spot this year for FC Dallas. Will they finally convert from 12 yards? Acosta, brief hesitation now on the approach. Acosta slots it down the middle. He won the penalty and he converts it. And Dallas now lead on the road. Once again, they've come from behind to make this one a 2-1 game at SKC.
Pulskamp makes the full commitment, going to his left. Lucho Acosta goes something a little off center over to Pulskamp's right. Has enough pace on it.
Well, that goal and the penalty that was won was sort of shades all over of that Colorado game. The 1-2 between Musa and Lucho. Lucho winning a penalty, but this time he flips the script and converts from the spot. And that is a big goal for Dallas, who erased the early deficit and now lead with 30 minutes to go. Costa from the spot. 4th goal of the season in Major League Soccer, 6th in all competitions for the Dallas captain.
And here comes the FC Dallas killer.
Now wearing the number 10 and the captain's armband on the opposite side, Daniel Shallowy. Scored at Toyota Stadium earlier this year, has 11 goals in 21 games against FC Dallas. He's replaced Eric Tommy on the hour mark. Memo Rodriguez also on for Jake Davis. A pair of changes for Kerry Zavagnin. Here's a ball in behind for Manu Garcia. Patrickson alert to it, but can't come up with the ball. Now Manu Garcia with the shot from a bad angle, and it's easy for Martin Paz. Save there, diving down to his left.
Yeah, I think that was Shallowy already doing. Is that Garcia?
Yeah, it's Garcia, yeah.
He's popping up all the way over on the left side.
Wonder if Dallas will respond with any changes of their own. Going long towards Musa. Header won there by Miller. Bartlett turns past the Costa and now swings it out to the far side, and Dembe will bring it forward for SKC. And Dembe driving towards the Dallas 18-yard box. Here's Garcia looking to get turned, tripped himself up there, but had Joveljic nearby. And Pedrinho clattered into by a sliding tackle from Shelton. Pedrinho's going to stay down here, and Shelton is going to see red. And the game has totally flipped here in the second half as Kyrie Shelton with a reckless tackle. He was on a yellow, and that's just not one he needed to make. He's now headed for an early shower, and Dallas will play the final half hour up a man.
I'm not quite sure that was red card worthy, but he was carrying the yellow, and I think he did get his cleats into Pedrinho there.
It's going to have to be another replay look to see if Pedrinho got the, he did. Pedrinho got the touch. Definitely could have continued on. It was a needless tackle. I don't think it had a ton of force in it.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Demjanjuk went right for the back pocket. Pedrinho, I think it was a nice burst of speed there to get to the ball first.
I'll tell you what, after the penalty went in for Acosta, he turned towards Pulskamp, had some words, and both teams sort of came to a war of words. And that has really invigorated this game. And maybe Shelton doesn't go flying in for that slide tackle if Acosta doesn't sort of spark things between the two teams moments before.
Does Shallowy have the captain's armband now?
He does. He took it from Tommy as he came off.
There it is. Yeah, I can see it now. Because I was wondering why he was in such an animated conversation there with the referee, which he is allowed to do if he's wearing the captain's armband.
The other part of this for Kansas City is they've just taken Jake Davis off the field, who is their usual other option at right back. They've got Andrew Brody, veteran fullback, and Ian James, a young homegrown, if they want to make a defensive change, but they're at home and they're trailing. They have to go for it.
A real opportunity here for FC Dallas, and you wonder what the coaching staff over there, Eric Quillen and staff, are thinking tactically.
Well, Patrickson's just won another free kick immediately as we'd resume play from Manu Garcia.
Because as the game gets into its 63rd minute now, you might have expected Eric Quill to think at some point, go defensive, keep the lead. You know, we talked about how he's got these attack-minded midfielders on there. He does have Nolan Norris that he can bring in to add a little bit more defensive stability. But now you think with a man advantage, maybe they can really go for the kill and get the third goal.
Nice ball forward through the lines to Pedrinho from Eviaga. Two subs coming for Dallas, but Farfan brings it forward with runners to his right. Farfan along the edge of the 18, finds Musa centrally. Loose touch there from Petter Musa. Recovered quickly by Leggett. Ball in behind for Sebastian Leggett. Shoulder to shoulder with Fernandez, and Leggett with a rare misplaced pass, trying to go back for Shaq Moore. Now Ndimbe can drive forward the other way. 3 in the attack for SKC. Switching ball for the run of Suleimanov. Ibiaga in pursuit out to the near side. Lucho Acosta back helping out defensively. Goes in. Holds his hand up as if he didn't think he committed the foul, but he did, and he's going to pick up a yellow card as well.
Yeah, he did, and I talked about how Dallas is fouling too often and giving up the free kicks. On that one, I think you can see it justified. Acosta was one of the first ones back. He did a great job of recognizing the moment and understanding that he had to get back and help defend. And he saw that Suleimanov was about to go one-on-one with Ibeagha and just took the foul and took the yellow card.
Certainly more contact than there was on the penalty moments ago.
Fair.
I don't think Acosta can complain too much about this one, as he is in the book. We saw Kamungo and Norris with their jersey on, ready to come into this game. And Suleimanov is going to have a wide free kick here, similar to a corner. Now set a two-player wall.
Yeah, but it's far enough out that he can put a ball into that far post dangerously.
He's already done it once tonight for the opening goal. This one is towards the back post, and it's a strong hand from Paz to punch it away, diving to his right. And he got some air underneath the clearance as well. Garcia sends it right back in. Patrickson wins the header. Out to Jovalic. Loose touch from Jovalic. Pedrinho able to pick his pocket. And now work it forward with Patrickson up the Dallas left. Dallas playing up a man here in the 65th minute. And smelling blood in the water. It's in behind for Anderson Julio, but the flag is up as Pedrinho tried to release him early.
You know, I said at halftime, you want to see more from Pedrinho and Delgado in those box-to-box positions ahead of Sebastian Lletget. You want to see them have more of an offensive impact, and I think we've seen it from Pedrinho, not only in the red card, which is a huge moment in this game, but also just in general run of play over there.
Well, Lletget and Pedrinho replaced by Kamungo and Norris. And on paper, that is, especially the Kamungo for Pedrinho, is an attacking change to leave Julio on out there as well and maybe go to a 4-2-3-1 look here. I said it moments ago, does Eric Quill smell blood in the water here, go for the third goal?
And I think you call it right. I think that's exactly the formation they're looking at now.
Kamungo off the left, Julio off the right, Patrickson in there with Norris in midfield. Here's Lucho Acosta, some time and space for him in the middle. Out to Farfan, up the left side, KC without a right back. Good ball in from Farfan, is just over hit and had a nice whip to it. But it's out of the reach of Julio at the back post.
Yeah, I think maybe a ball into the near post there for Petar Musa might have been the better choice.
And Dembe has a throw close to his own corner flag on the far side. Patrickson and Julio pressing. Pedrinho maybe opting to come off there because he had a yellow card. And also, if you didn't like him as an 8, you probably won't like him as a double 6 in there with Norris. That's what Patrickson did last week for the team, or last game against Philadelphia. And that's what he's doing now.
Yeah, there's not a lot of holding midfielder experience there, but it's just what Dallas has right now. Kaike suspended, Ramiro injured, Paxton Pomykal not available.
Lletget with a nice 65-minute shift for the team in his return from injury. And we'll see what Norris can give them now. Fresh off 180 minutes over the international break for the US U20s, all of them coming at center back, where he captains the youth side for the US. Here's Memo Rodriguez defending is Nolan Norris. Up the right side for KC. Centrally, Jovalic, ball in behind for Suleimanov. Farfan goes down. Suleimanov blazes the shot over the bar. But Farfan won the foul anyway. Referee came across to bring a stop to the SKC attack.
Dallas not looking quite zipped up there defensively, but you're right. Farfan going down and drawing the foul on the replay there. You call it exactly right. Before the shot was even off, referee had his whistle out and pointing the other way.
It wasn't a shot that Suleimanov would have been proud of. And I think it was going out for a throw. Nothing like his first half perler into the corner. Alvaro into Norris. Now those two playing through the spine for Dallas.
We talked about how Kansas City was starting to press a little bit more, and it might have bothered Dallas. They're actually doing okay, but now a man down, it's going to be harder to press.
Kamungo, first involvement for him. A clean touch to lay it off for Patrickson. Chipped ahead for Musa, brings it down, edge of the 18. Musa bounces back to him, edge of the box, takes a nice first touch, now gets the shot away towards the back post, where it's pumped to Kamungo, who taps it in to the empty net. And Dallas lead now 3-1 as Kamungo grabs his first goal in Major League Soccer since 2023.
big moment for Bernie Kamungo, but a lot of that was Petar Musa bringing the ball down off his chest, moving the ball across the penalty area, gets one lucky deflection there. Maybe a little bit to look at, see if Bernie Kamungo was in an onside position. I believe he was.
It's close, but I think so.
Yeah, so as Postgame makes a pretty good save, actually, on Petar Musa's shot from a tough angle along the right side. Bernie Kamungo is all alone over there, not the best marking. Bernie knows what to do with the ball. Put it in the back of the net, 3-1 FC Dallas.
Kamungo, he's been showing signs of life. I mean, that Open Cup game in New York was by far his best performance this season. He won't get an easier goal than that. I mean, the positioning is everything there, not the finish. As he rolled it into the empty net, Polskamp had gone diving down to his right. The goal confirmed, no offside. And Dallas, as they have so often done, putting teams to the sword in the second half on the road.
Yeah, you really like to see Bernie Kamungo. You're right, he was playing better, but he hadn't been ultimately rewarded, and like to see him getting rewarded there, even if it is an easy finish.
Kansas City looking to respond. Joveljic with a rare touch, but it's Lucho Acosta back defending who takes it away. And now springs Julio, who will go on the dribble up the right side. 70th minute, Dallas leading 3-1 at Children's Mercy Park, and Kansas City playing down to 10 men.
I tell you what, I can detail this more in the post-game show, but if Dallas can go on and pick up all 3 points in this one, you know, Sporting Kansas City, this stadium has been a place where Dallas has gotten a lot of, they have never really gotten the benefit of the 50-50 calls, and they're getting them tonight. So maybe it's karma finally coming back around.
Well, the away team hasn't won in this series of MLS Originals since 2021. When Kansas City won at Toyota Stadium twice, and that was a weird year, of course. Ball in behind from Farfan for Kamungo up the left side. Early ball into the middle for Musa. First touch into the 18 now. Sees two defenders, gets back to him. Musa with the shot, but the whistle goes for a little shove against Jacob Bartlett.
Yeah, Musa did get the shot out. Pretty good starfish save there from Polskamp.
Musa sort of standing within the 10-yard radius. Needs to be careful. He is on a yellow card. And Dallas don't want to hand back their man advantage. Had to play with 10 themselves for an hour last week. Benefit of a man up for half an hour this week. Kansas City looking for something at home to give them life here down the stretch. And Dembe chipping the ball ahead for Garcia, defended by Norris. Shaq Moore up against Shallowy. And a free kick here right on the edge of the 18, given away by Acosta.
Who's carrying that yellow card. He's got to be careful. So what, 5th free kick inside the defensive third for FC Dallas. And this one right at the corner of the penalty area. So discipline really an issue tonight on both sides.
And this one in prime shooting range for what looks like it will be Memo Rodriguez, the former Houston Dynamo man.
And Memo Rodriguez, one of these guys that just chewed around the edges of the national team scene for a long time. I think he's a little past it now.
Corner of the 18-yard box on the far side. 3-man wall for Dallas. And Martin Pass. Rodriguez whips his right foot through it, but it's comfortably over the bar. Nothing for Martin to do on that occasion.
I mean, neither team's set-piece service tonight is anything to stop and tell the neighbors about.
We talked about Kansas City's woes on defensive set pieces. Hasn't been the highest quality on either side from dead balls, but Dallas have the penalty kick goal from Lucho Acosta to go with a Petar Musa first half strike and a Bernard Kamungo goal off the bench here in the second half, and they lead 3-1.
If Dallas can see this thing out, another thing for Sam Hale to write down on his little scratch pad for the post-game show is that this would be more points gained from a losing position.
Nice diagonal. Kamungo's made the run in behind. Bernie Kamungo inside the 18, tripped up, trying to get a shot away. Jansen Miller did just enough to prevent Kamungo from a potential brace. Julio, nice counter pressing, wins it back from Rodriguez. Dallas with numbers in the attacking third here, as Norris quickly finds Musa. Chipped ball in, looking for Julio. Kind of a lazy pass there from Petar Musa.
Especially as they had Marco Farfan busting a gut to get up to on the overlapping run.
Farfan, to his credit, right back up the other end. Such an unforgiving position. Nice sliding tackle from Alvaro, and a pumped fist and a beat chest there from the man on debut.
There's the personality you want to see. He was fired up about that one.
Ball into the danger area, but nobody there for Kansas City, and Ibeagha can just trap it and try and pass clear, but he's caught on the ball here. Now Suleimanov goes to the legs of Farfan, but Ibeagha covers for his teammate there and drops it off for Paz to clear.
I think Ibeagha's been good tonight, but that wasn't his best moment.
I just wonder, with the 3-1 lead, how much longer some of these guys with the yellow cards need to be out there from a Dallas perspective. Particularly thinking about Acosta and Julio. As Dallas defending low here in the 75th minute.
Well, but to your point, I mean, you don't want to lose them for the next game either, because you got a potentially winnable game against San Jose.
Here's through the lines, Memo Rodriguez back heel towards Shallowy, and that's the danger man in these games against Kansas City, but he drags the shot wide. Nice combination there between the Kansas City attacking players.
There's Ibeagha that was ultimately in the way there. I thought maybe they got a little deflection off Ibeagha.
The Kansas City players did too, but it'll be a goal kick.
76th minute, we should have the hydration break coming up soon. If I assume they're going to do one, maybe not.
Sometimes they do it just in the first half.
Yeah.
But it does look like they are maybe coming over for the cooling break here in the 76th minute. And a chance not only for some fluids, but for instruction on both sides. And I think, if I'm Eric Quill, it's a calm down, particularly with the fouls. And the guys on yellow cards need to be a little more aware down the stretch.
You'd like to see Dallas just maintain a little bit more possession. Look, they've got the 2-goal cushion now. You know, they don't have to go for that next killer goal because they just got it, courtesy of Bernie Kamungo. So just try to milk that clock and chew away some of the seconds.
Well, this is, of course, a matchup between MLS originals and FC Dallas, like Sporting Kansas City, celebrating 30 years in Major League Soccer. And for that, the club is commemorating its most iconic moments, kits, players, and more. You can visit fcdallas.com/30 to relive the most important moments, storylines, and much more. Seen on the club's socials, the different looks at the kits of old, some of my favorites, the original hoops for the Dallas Burn, highlighting the heroes of those original 90s teams, Oscar Pereja, Jason Kreis. As we get a look at the play that led to the Dallas penalty and gave Dallas the lead, Acosta winning it and converting it himself. You can stay right here on the FC Dallas app after every FC Dallas match ends for a deep dive into the previous 90 minutes. It is the FC Dallas postgame show here only on the app and, of course, on YouTube as well.
Ryan, just got to look at that Kyrie Shelton incident again, and I was incorrect. So referee Demianchuk did actually show the second yellow card before he showed the red card. We didn't pick that up a while ago on the monitor, so that makes a little bit more sense.
A couple of attacking changes coming out of the break for SKC as Afrifa and Munoz are on, replacing Ndembe and Suleimanov, the Kansas City goal scorer tonight. Afrifa straight into the action, wins it back from Marco Farfan. And an early ball in towards Joveljic. Joveljic on the dribble through the 18, shot right at Martin Paz. That needs to be a wake-up call for Dallas. Can't afford a man in the form that Dejan Joveljic is in, that kind of space, very often without getting punished.
No, Joveljic, little jab step, shoulder drop, let the ball roll across his body, completely did Ibeagha there. Freed himself up, got the ball on his left foot, sort of moving away from goal at about 14 yards, and ends up hitting the ball right at Martin Paz.
Dallas struggling to build out here. Farfan loose touch looking for Norris. Gets a little bit lucky, bounces back to him. And now Norris hitting an early switching ball out for the run of Anderson Julio. Too much air underneath at that time from Nolan. And it's through for Polskamp.
I just hit that ball a little bit too close to the Kansas City goalkeeper. If he just gets a little bit more of an angle on it, I think he's got Anderson running into a good spot.
Nice weighted ball in the midfield from Shaq Moore. Patrickson will bring it forward, finds the feet of Musa. Musa with options either side, puts it in behind for the run of Julio, who's going to get there just before it hits the byline. Cut back ball for Musa, shot deflected, and behind for a corner.
Musa's having a good night. Popping up in good spots now, getting involved in the offense in different ways. Of course, he got that first goal, the early goal for FC Dallas. Erased that even earlier deficit from Sporting Kansas City.
Well, Steve, if I told you that the last time a Dallas player scored 2 goals, exactly 2 goals in a game, it was Bernard Kamungo on decision day of 2023.
Whew.
You've got 3 guys out there who can potentially somehow bring that run to an end. With Acosta, Musa, and Kamungo himself. We've had a hat trick in there from the Moose against Minnesota last year. Nice drop of the shoulder from Julio. He's going to lift this cross into the danger area towards Musa. Header towards goal. Just off target, maybe a yard wide of the post.
Now Dallas going short on the corner kick. So third corner kick for Dallas. 2 go to the floated at the back post, and 1 they go short with and end up getting some kind of shot off of it.
The Dallas attacking front 4 there, going for a little bit of pressure. That's Kansas City trying to build out from the goal kick. Eventually they do. Now Dallas back in shape as Farrington's up off the bench. And he'll be the next Dallas change. Chipped ball ahead from Garcia towards Joveljic, trying to take it down off the chest. Joveljic inside the 18, bounces back from Munoz, who takes the shot. His first action of the game, he drags it wide. And it's not going to go behind for a goal kick. Farfan has to retrieve it. Chips it down the line for Bernie Kamungo. Got the insurance goal as things stand. Norris ahead to the feet of Musa. Musa back to Kamungo. Norris not making the run out of midfield. Has Lucho with him. Ball in behind for Lucho Acosta. It's Bartlett trying to retreat. Lucho Acosta inside the D. Sits the goalkeeper down. Dribbles past him and rolls it into the empty net. Oh, that is magic from Lucho Acosta, who grabs his brace. And Dallas surely on their way to 3 points once again.
Well, that is the Lucho magic. But let me tell you, Nolan Norris with a great play in midfield, winning a ball and then playing Lucho Acosta in. You know, we talked about how you need a little bit of bite in there. Well, he won a duel in midfield and was able to turn it into instant offense. Lucho Acosta takes 2 players out for Sporting Kansas City, takes Pulskamp out. That's a nice moment. That's I tell you what, Lucho Acosta, you know, when he scores a goal this year, it's almost always a highlight reel goal. That one was.
His second of the night. A nice hug from Petar Musa, who joined in on the celebrations. Norris picking up his first assist in Major League Soccer, I believe, with that effort as well, coming off the bench to make an impact tonight. And things are just going right for Dallas at Children's Mercy Park. After a weekend off last week, felt some concerns about the injuries they picked up even in the interim. They've shown well on the road all season long, and that has continued here as we're just about to reach the halfway point of the Major League Soccer season.
The last time Dallas won a league match way back on April 27th. Scored 4 goals that night. Took 4 to beat Miami. Well, this is the second time this year they've scored 4. Going to get another 3 points out of it.
Musa is the one replaced by Farrington. And a couple of quick physical challenges from Kansas City. Eventually the whistle does go for one against Memo Rodriguez, who fouled Nolan Norris.
Well, this odd season, Ryan, just goes on and on for FC Dallas after this. We're going to assume they're going to get the 3 points here. I don't think it's, I think we're past the point of jinx now, but right now Dallas 5 points all year at home and 16 on the road. How about them apples?
And they're going to get plenty of opportunities at home coming up over the course of the summer. 5 of their next 7 will be at Toyota Stadium. If they can return to any sense of normalcy with their home form, you feel the ability to climb the standings is certainly there for Eric Quill's side.
Oh, do you want to see Lucho Acosta stay on the field right now? He's carried that yellow card.
Yeah, Julio's still out there too.
Yeah, if Anderson Julio takes a red and gets suspended for the next match, it's not great, but I'd rather see if I had to make a choice there, I would rather see Acosta on the field.
I don't think you have to make a choice. Dallas have made, I believe, 3 changes.
You're saying get them both off the field?
Potentially. You could bring in a Diego Garcia.
Yep.
For Lucho Acosta in a moment like this. Now you feel the game might be past parity. And I think we will see a debut even. And Josh Torquato, who's getting his jersey on alongside Anthony Ramirez on the Dallas bench. Here's Acosta on the turn right on the halfway line. Ball ahead for Logan Farrington along the left side. Logan Farrington squares up Bartlett inside the 18 now. Farrington on the dribble, going for the run past the SKC rookie, but it's the Notre Dame grad who comes away with it, and Bartlett, and sends it clear going the other way.
Notre Dame grad was smart there. He knew Farrington wanted to cut inside and get the ball on his right foot, which he did. I feel like if he would have taken one more quick step to the left, he could have unleashed a left-footed shot, but he wanted that right foot.
Frifa on it for Kansas City as we've got 5+ stoppage time to go. And there was a considerable amount of stoppage time in the first half, 8 minutes. And we did have a cooling break and 3 goals and a red card in the second half. So I think we may see even more stoppage time in the second 45.
And Memo Rodriguez called for a foul as he went in on a tackle against Farrington, stepped on Farrington in the process.
So you're saying Farrington's been on for 2 minutes and he's already won a foul?
That scans. That checks out.
Dallas restart play, dropping it back to Martin Poss as we do await a couple of young players getting opportunities here down the stretch. Acosta, nice touch in midfield, finds Patrickson out to Julio on the far side. Everybody wants in on the scoring now. At this point, Julio on the dribble gets to the end line. Does he keep it in play? Just about. And it's Postgame with a strong hand to palm that one out of the danger area. Norris absolutely clatters into Memo Rodriguez, and now if Frifa brings it forward on the dribble, this game has lost all sense of shape or tactics. It's up the left side with Shallowy. Farfan's all the way across it, right back defending, and he does well as well. He'll concede a corner, but nothing more.
I love that Norris has the desire to get that far up the field, but I think he has to recognize game state here. He just needs to stay home, make sure nothing ridiculous happens here. FC Dallas with a 3-goal lead and a man up.
Going to be another corner for Kansas City. This time Rodriguez will take. Quick talking to for the combatants inside the 18-yard box from the referee. Dallas not going to bring on Torquato or Ramirez in this situation. Both of them rather short of stature. Trying to defend the corner here. In swinger from Rodriguez towards the near post. Headed away by Julio. Acosta, a bit of a heavy first touch and then clatters into his man. And I think he's going to be one to be replaced here by Anthony Ramirez. He's taken the armband off. He'll allow the referee to make the delivery. And Lucho Acosta, perhaps his best night in Dallas colors to date. Pair of goals in this second half. That looks like it may not be done just yet. He's going to stay out there for now, as they won't make the change here, defending another attacking free kick. Rodriguez with some more air underneath this one. It breaks for Miller at the back post, who got it on target, and Poss will pick up another save. Miller not happy that the Dallas defender had a tug of the jersey, preventing him from getting full purchase behind the shot.
I mean, he was being pulled down there. You know, look, I'll just say this. Dallas is getting the 50-50s tonight. The big ones, the big calls have gone their way. We've seen it happen the other way, but...
Here's a ball over the top from Shaq Moore. Lucho Acosta in pursuit of a hat trick. He's picked up the ball here with Miller on his back. Acosta goes down. And I've seen better dives in my day than that one. Waved up by the referee.
There's a little contact there.
It's the thing is he fell the wrong way to sell it, I feel like. Shallowy on the dribble. Ahead for Joveljic. Joveljic to the byline, trying to cut it back for Shallowy. Cleared away by Shaq Moore. And that may allow Dallas to finally bring in their changes. Final two of the game.
This is definitely what our friend Matt Doyle calls the tactics-free zone.
Well, Anderson Julio will be replaced by Anthony Ramirez, who made his Dallas debut as a short-term call-up last season, making his second appearance tonight. And making his MLS and FC Dallas debut is young Josh Torquato, the 17-year-old left back, who himself has been called up on a short-term loan from North Texas SC. Joined the academy all the way back as a 13-year-old in 2019. Impressed in preseason, and he's getting a big opportunity here in Kansas City, making his MLS debut.
Acosta wasn't happy going off the sideline there, going off the field, that is. I'm not quite sure who's gesturing toward.
He wanted the hat trick. He wanted to continue the run of nobody ending a game with exactly 2 goals that we talked about.
I don't know, maybe.
Or maybe he just had some extra words for the referee on the way out.
Yeah, I think that might have been it.
There's a ball through the lines, and Alvaro got caught out of position, and it's a 4-2 game now as that Mason Toy, with his first touch, scores here. And Munoz, sorry, amongst the forward players. Joveljic had just been taken off, and that was a sort of white flag substitution for Kerry Zavagnin. But his side score here in the opening minute of 10 added on. This game not quite done just yet.
Yeah, Alvaro a little slow to jump out into the half space there. That was where the breakdown was in that case. Alvaro let somebody get behind him a few minutes ago, so a couple of defensive mistakes there in the second half. We talked about how reading the game and the speed of the game at this level might get him a little bit. Got him against Munoz that time.
Munoz, second goal in MLS. 22-year-old, originally out of El Paso, on loan from Santos Laguna. Picked up a personal moment there. Hopefully nothing more than that.
Well, we thought 8 minutes of stoppage was a lot.
Yeah, 10. Of which we've already played 90 seconds.
And right now, Dallas just absolutely has to understand they're a man up. They've just got to get the game tactically stabilized.
Ball over the top on the far side. Shaq Moore gets there first and sends it out for a throw. Looks like Torquato's setting up on the left midfield ahead of Marco Farfan. He's played some there for North Texas this year. He's a left back by trade.
Yeah, it's a defensive-minded sub, which is good.
Anthony Ramirez, first involvement, finds the feet of Farrington. Farrington can't keep hold of it. Now Kansas City with a Frifa on the right side. Farfan takes it away, and now Kamungo goes forward on the dribble. Farrington ahead of him. Ramirez out to the right. A very young attacking trident right now for FC Dallas.
So Dallas playing a man up. It's a warm night in Kansas City. Just see how long they can just keep possession here, make Kansas City work for a while.
Ramirez, safe pass back to Alvaro. Ebiaga out to Torquato. Farfan went ahead of him on the underlap, but just offside there.
And for me, the question is, why is your left back even that far? Why is he the furthest man forward there when you're trying to protect a 2-goal lead?
7 minutes between Dallas and 3 points as Bartlett hits a switching ball out to the far side. Shaq Moore wins the header, knocks it down for Anthony Ramirez. I think Moore's had a really good game tonight. And right back for Dallas. As Farrington has won a free kick. A little bit of a late flag there from the assistant referee on the far side. Second foul won by Logan off the bench tonight.
Did Joaquin Fernandez have that black eye to start the match?
I don't think so. I think he picked it up somewhere along the way.
Maybe with that the time when he got tangled up with Musa in that one.
Moore looking for options up the right side, chips it into the feet of Farrington. Farrington looking to get turned up against Fernandez. Drop of the shoulder. Farrington still on it up the right side. And then the Spanish center back finally wins out. Now Memo Rodriguez will bring it forward in midfield for Kansas City. Through the lines, finds Munoz. Sliding tackle there from Ibiaga, who's gone down holding his face. I'm not sure if he caught a stray foot, maybe to the head. It was he who went sliding in. He's holding his left eye.
I didn't see any contact there on the head. Let's see it. Yeah, maybe there was as Munoz put that arm out initially. Played for the 10 minutes now.
I know Ibiaga wears contacts. He might be struggling with that here. He's sort of motioning with his eyelid on the left side. The referee's going to make him go off here. Similar to what happened with Manu Garcia in the first half. Although hopefully they allow Ibiaga right back in, similarly to what we saw in the first half. Ibiaga telling the referee he didn't want the trainer to come on the field. I suppose it's the head injury protocol, but
yeah,
it's not a head injury. It's a contacts issue. But Kansas City will have a free kick on the halfway line. They've committed just about everybody forward. And Ibiaga's off the field. Dallas defending without their most experienced center back.
Well, the issue is that Demianchuk initially indicated it was a head injury, and if he's holding his head, then that's a safe assumption.
Well, they've let Ibiaga right back into the action, and a chipped ball through is overhit for Kansas City. It's behind for a goal kick.
And I think that's what referee Demianchuk was trying to tell Ibiaga. Just go off. That's the rule. You can come right back on.
Well, Dallas, no game last weekend, no game next weekend. And it felt like this game had a lot of sway in terms of the vibe around things over this 3-week period. A lot of things have gone the way of Eric Quill's men tonight, and they've taken advantage to this point. 4 minutes and a 2-goal lead from 3 points. Anthony Ramirez onto it off the second ball from Logan Farrington. 3 defenders around him, puts the ball in behind for Kamungo. Flag stays down for now. Kamungo inside the 18, looking to get onto his left foot. Gets the shot away, rattles the bar as he's hunting for his second career MLS multi-goal game. Nice sliding tackle there from Farfan in the middle, but he's had to stay down with a cramp. Torquato covering for him. Patrickson does well to win the ball back in midfield, and he's just on a dribble towards no one at this point.
I don't know where he was going.
He wanted the foul, not given. It'll be a throw-in for Dallas. We just saw Kansas City winless in the month of May in Major League Soccer play. I'm sorry, FC Dallas winless in the month of May, picking up their first win since a 4-goal away performance at Miami back in April. Kansas City not on a great run, but since making the switch from Peter Vermees have picked up considerably more points under Kerry Zavagnin. Here's Memo Rodriguez bending a ball in towards Toy at the back post, kept in play there by Shallowy, but Jack Moore does well to send it clear, and Farrington will pick up the long ball. Pretty thankless task for Logan Farrington coming on today, just trying to help the team up the field, winning where he can.
Well, he's doing his thing. He's picking up fouls. And every time he picks up one, you know, it helps FC Dallas just chew up a little bit more clock.
And there he is battling back to win it from Manu Garcia. And now again, he's bringing it forward all alone. Kamungo joining in. And Fernandez tripping him up from behind. I'll tell you what, there may not be many better at this exact thing in the entire league than Logan Farrington. I'm sure he would have wanted more in terms of goals and assists this season, but the minutes he's given them in these situations have been crucial for the team.
Yeah, but he wants to help his team. Fernandez just picked up a yellow card. Again, it's 2 minutes left of the 10 of stoppage, and gives FC Dallas a chance to breathe, set up the free kick, goof around a little bit.
There's been some goofy moments in the second half for sure. As Dallas playing with a very young lineup out there right now. And Farrington again tripped up. Dallas, we're going to have another free kick.
I'm not sure what happened over there. That was off the ball.
He's holding his left ankle as Norris has some words with Bartlett. Farrington saying he took cleats on the ankle there from Shallowy.
Oh, Shallowy just kicked him off
Garcia, yeah.
I mean, that's completely unnecessary. The ball was nowhere near. Shallowy just kicked him off the ball. That's just frustration from Sporting Kansas City.
Well, the clock is on the side of FC Dallas, leading 4-2 here, deep into stoppage time. Farrington has done well just to buy them time. 1, 4, 5 fouls all on his own here. Maybe one last chance to send it forward for FC Dallas if they choose to do so. Go down the line towards the right corner with Anthony Ramirez, who's fistful of jersey there for Daniel Shallowy. He's picked up a yellow card, and there's a free kick coming for Dallas right on the edge of the 18 along the far side. Good work from Ramirez.
Shallowy just frustrated that he hasn't scored his goal against FC Dallas tonight.
Can't blame him. I mean, with the record that he's had, I can't believe Kerry Zavagnin didn't read the career year against FC Dallas stat point in their game notes and make sure he was in the lineup. Maybe one last attacking opportunity if Dallas wants it. This free kick, or they may just head to the corner flag and wait for the final whistle.
FC Dallas now going to have a record of 4 wins, 2 losses, and 4 draws on the road this year.
We would have prayed for times like this over the past few seasons. And now it'll turn over to, can they fix the home form? As Dallas will just head to the corner here. Farrington knocks it off a Kansas City player, and that will do it. Dallas back to winning ways on the road at Children's Mercy Park tonight. 4 goals, 3 of them coming in the second half, as once again Dallas overturned an early deficit to win a game on the road. Steve, we have seen this script now many times before.
More points from losing positions. FC Dallas, one of the best in Major League Soccer at that. Who knows, with these 3 more points, it might be the best in Major League Soccer. Just a crazy year, man. 4 goals at home all year, now 18 goals on the road.
2 goals from Lucho Acosta with a individual tally from Petter Musa and Bernard Camungo. A debut for Josh Torquato and Alvaro. A lot of positives coming out of this one and heading into San Jose in just about 10 days. We'll talk about it all and plenty more on the post-game show. But we thank you so much for joining us tonight as FC Dallas knocks off SKC on the road 4-2 here on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Marco Farfan, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
After 90 plus quite a bit of minutes at Children's Mercy Park, it's FC Dallas 4, Sporting Kansas City 2 as the Toros go into the Fountain City and come back with all 3 points. Hello everyone, it is the FC Dallas postgame show brought to you tonight by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you tonight by UMB Bank. See how UMB can help you achieve your business goals. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in a little while by the voices of tonight's victory, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. But let's start first with your post-game highlights and stats. It didn't start great for FC Dallas as Shapi Suleimanov in the 8th minute. Rockets won past Martin Paz. That made it 1-0 Kansas City in the 8th minute. But it was 3 minutes later when Dallas's DP striker leveled the score.
Leggett seeing a lot of the ball early on. Musa with a 1-2 here. Musa in behind for Shaq Moore along the right side. Cross towards the back post. Musa there, and he equalizes right away. There's the impact from Petar Musa as he grabs his 5th goal of the season to knot things up at 1 here. 10 minutes gone at Children's Mercy Park.
That made the score 1-1 all in the first half, and that's where we would stand at halftime. Into the second half we went, and about 15 minutes after kickoff in that second half, it was Lucho Acosta who was fouled, so he went to the spot and did this.
Third opportunity from the spot this year for FC Dallas. Will they finally convert from 12 yards? Acosta, brief hesitation now on the approach. Acosta slots it down the middle. He won the penalty, and he converts it. And Dallas now lead on the road. Once again, they've come from behind to make this one a 2-1 game at SKC.
Third time's the charm for Acosta this year in the regular season on penalties. He made it 2-1 Dallas in the 59th minute. And then Kyrie Shelton from Kansas City in the 62nd minute picks up a second yellow if he hacks down Pedrinho in what could only be called a needless foul. That sent him off, and Kansas City played with 10 men for the rest of the night after Kyrie Shelton's accumulation red card. But it was 9 minutes later when the Abilene Dream finally reopened his MLS account.
Kamungo, first involvement for him, a clean touch to lay it off for Patrickson, chipped ahead for Musa, brings it down, edge of the 18. Musa bounces back to him, edge of the box, takes a nice first touch, now gets the shot away towards the back post, where it's pumped to Kamungo, who taps it in to the empty net, and Dallas lead now 3-1. As Kamungo grabs his first goal in Major League Soccer since 2023.
A poacher special for Kamungo in the 69th minute. He gets his first MLS goal in over a year, his second goal of the campaign for Dallas. And then we get to the 82nd minute when we got a little bit of Lucho magic.
Norris ahead to defeat Musa. Musa back to Kamungo. Norris not making the run out of midfield. Has Lucho with him. Ball in behind for Lucho Acosta. It's Bartlett trying to retreat. Lucho Acosta inside the D, sits the goalkeeper down, dribbles past him, and rolls it into the empty net. Oh, that is magic from Lucho Acosta, who grabs his brace, and Dallas surely on their way to 3 points once again.
Second goal of the night for Acosta in the 82nd minute. That made it 4-1 FC Dallas. A cursory goal from Santiago Munoz in the 90th plus first gave Kansas City at least a little bit of a depression healer, but it ends up being 4-2 FC Dallas as they sweep the season series over SKC. Let's get you tonight's post-game stats, which are brought to you by UMB Bank. Possession goes the way of Kansas City 52-48. Each team had 11 shots, but Dallas led the shots on goal 6-5. 6 corners for the home side, 3 for the visitors. You had 3 saves for Martin Paz, 1 save for John Polskamp. A foul-driven night for each team, 17 for Kansas City, 14 for FCD, and 4 yellow cards apiece, but 2 of those go to Kyrie Shelton for the only red card of the evening. Now let's bring in the voices of tonight's victory, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. And Ryan, it's hard to picture a much better performance after you take 2 weeks off. You don't win since April. You go on the road to a team that has given you problems at times, and you come away with a decisive victory.
Yeah, I mean, this was, and I think in addition, something I want to get to is that you got a lot of young players, meaningful minutes in Major League Soccer. I think you checked a lot of boxes tonight that, that were question marks coming in, and you turned them into check marks tonight. I think there's so many things to be positive about. We saw Lucho Acosta have a special moment, not only winning the penalty, converting it, but putting the icing on the cake with the 4th goal. Petar Musa was sharp, and that was something that we hadn't seen from him in a couple of weeks. Kamungo off the mark in Major League Soccer for the first time since Decision Day 2023. You got, like I said, a lot of young players, minutes, and opportunities in this game. It felt like, in a lot of ways, a throwback to a previous era for FC Dallas of bringing younger players through and giving them the opportunity. And, in a lot of cases, they shown well, and they looked like they belonged at the level tonight. And I think that was huge for Dallas's, like I mentioned towards the end of the game, no game last weekend, no game next weekend. This game set the tone for how the camp was going to feel for a long period of the season here as we wait to play San Jose a week from Wednesday. So this is huge for not only the team picking up points against a team that they needed to beat to get back in the playoff hunt, but for the vibe going forward. I think it's a big one.
Steve Davis, your thoughts on the evening?
I tell you what, a lot of things went right for FC Dallas tonight. Alvaro playing really well. Got out of position a couple of times late in the match, but a guy that had never played at this level before, I thought he did real well. SKC not really pressing. Dallas had sort of a makeshift midfield, including Sebastian Lletget having never played at that holding midfield position. They don't press him. Lletget played well in there. I think the 50-50, the big calls, the 50-50s went Dallas's way tonight. The things that Dallas didn't do well, namely fouling way too much in the defensive third, didn't end up hurting them. So just a lot of things going well. And I tell you what, Sam, we talked at halftime about how I said that I think on the attack, Dallas was doing okay in the first half. They were going a little bit more vertical. It was a little bit more the idea that Eric Quill had all along. I said they just weren't turning it into shots. But in the second half, they turned it into a penalty kick. They turned it into Peter Musa setting up Bernie Kamungo. They turned it into Nolan Norris setting up Lucho Acosta for the last goal. So I think on the attack, there's a lot for FC Dallas to feel good about. And something we haven't mentioned is it's kind of odd that Dallas just had this big break, and they didn't really have any time off. The time off now will come now. They're getting a few days off, and now they're going to be able to take a little bit of vacation time, this mid-season break you get sometimes, feeling really good about another road win.
So let's talk about the offense, because that's obviously the headline when you score 4 goals. 11 total shots tonight, 6 of those on goal, which I think is probably an average, if not slightly above. If you're the road team, if you're at home, that's probably not super great. But specifically, and Steve, I'll start here with you. What do you think they did? Obviously, the red card affects this, but what do you think they did to improve the offense tonight that they hadn't been doing?
So we talked. I'll start with the conversation we had yesterday with Eric Quill. I asked him, what did you tactically try to accomplish in this break that they had, the 2 weeks of where they got some time on the training field? Because remember, in May, it was really just a day to recover, a day to have a walkthrough, and then you're right on to the next game. So he said, we did have some conversations, and those are important, but we just wanted to establish a few more attacking patterns. That was one of the things they tried to accomplish, and I think they did it. I think those. The moments where they wanted to go a little bit faster in transition, where they recognized the right moments to get forward, to do the right things in the attacking third, and I think that time on the training field paid off.
Ryan, obviously, I think you have to, when you're looking at the attack tonight specifically, it probably starts and ends with Lucho Acosta. He gets his first penalty kick success in an FC Dallas uniform. It took him 3 tries to get there, but hey, third time's a charm. And then he has just a magical goal with the help of Nolan Norris, who got cleaned out as he was delivering it. But these are the kind of games that I think we were looking for when we heard the announcement that Lucho Acosta was coming to Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first half, even you still wanted a little bit more from him, because there were moments where he got in good spaces and was unable to turn it into anything. But second half, excellent. Throughout the entire second half, sort of controlled the pace of the attack. The team flowed through him. And not only that, obviously he gets the 2 goals. And first time a Dallas player's ended the game with 2 goals since 2023. Somehow we didn't have that happen at all last season or through the first half.
I think we know
season.
how that didn't happen last year.
But I mean, you had a hat trick. It was just funny that it never happened with exactly 2 goals. So Lucho, definitely for me, his best half of soccer in an FC Dallas uniform, maybe his best complete 90 minutes, and that was huge. It took the pressure off of other guys in terms of playmaking, but also having other playmakers in there with Pedrinho. We know how that helps him sort of get involved with the team more and more. So I think it worked a lot better tonight. And again, I think there's a caveat of Kansas City's not great. Kansas City got a red card tonight, but even if those things are all true, which they are, Dallas got reps successfully tonight, doing it correctly, doing it well, scoring goals, having these attacking patterns come to fruition. That can only build confidence and build chemistry going forward.
There's real significance here in Lucho having a good match. By the way, it's so weird, though. 7 goals in all competitions now for Lucho Acosta this year. Still no assists. That's really weird. But
he has triple the amount of key passes of anyone else on the roster.
It's true. The significance here being that Eric Quill said specifically he had conversations with the team leaders. and he said he needed more. That means Musa. That means Acosta. Primarily, he said he needed more from both of them. Acosta had a good match. Musa had a good match. I mentioned in the pregame that as he came back off that injury, the technical quality just wasn't there that we saw as the season opened in February and March and then into April, when he was really good away from goal and with the passing, and we just didn't see that as he came back off the injury. He looked rusty. So he had it back tonight. He got the goal. Bernie Kamungo's goal was largely a product of Petar Musa's work and taking down a ball off his chest from, I believe it was Patrickson that played that one, as he moves across the penalty area, then ends up with a shot from the right side that Bernie Kamungo tucks in the rebound. So those two players having a really good night tonight, I think that portends well for FC Dallas.
Yeah, it felt like a throwback to the first couple of weeks of the season where every single goal Musa was involved, because he was tonight.
And it was really important because, as good as I think, you had Acosta and you had Musa really leading, and that's what you want. The offensive contribution from the third member of that triangle, I think this is not a night to write home about for Anderson Julio. He wasn't, I don't think, bad by any means, but he picks up a yellow card. He had a couple times where maybe he went for the spectacular instead of the ordinary. This is just not maybe wasn't his night, even if it wasn't a bad night.
Yeah, remember in the first half he actually dribbled the goalkeeper Pulskamp, and then couldn't beat Jensen Miller as he had the goalkeeper on the ground.
Yeah, I think, it's okay, right? If you get your two DPs at their very best, you don't need, the contributions from the rest of the group as much as you have had throughout the season when you've needed Julio to step up to win you points, thinking about the RSL game or the Houston game winner. So I think it's nice to not have to rely on him, right? And still feel like he did okay tonight, even if it wasn't his best game.
And I think, there's two kind of bigger picture points that this points to. One, and Steve, you brought it up, so I'll throw it here. You, again, more points picked up from a losing position. You can see the goal in the 8th minute on what was just a really good goal from Suleimanov, although they probably should have crowded him a little bit more on it, admittedly. But you come back 3 minutes later, you get Musa's goal. You end up scoring 4 unanswered when you look at the totality of the game. But for all the things that we've been positive about with Eric Quill, we've been negative about with him, the one thing we do have to give him credit for, the team fights, they fight hard, and when it comes to being down, they're not really out of it.
16 points now from losing positions, 13 coming into the match tonight, and as you said, they went down early, so that's it shows resiliency, and absolutely that's been built so far under Eric Will.
Yeah, I mean, I think 16 would be great for an entire season most years. So this is just such a weird thing where you would love for them to stop having to concede first to really bring their best out of them, but so far that's what we've seen. And I thought it was interesting in our conversation with Eric Quill about what is his message to the team. He said, look, we've needed to go 2 goals down to really play our best. Think of it, we're 11th place in the standings right now. We're 2 goals down in this season. And I think they played with some of that fire and some of that back-to-the-wall energy. Even if they conceded the early goal, they immediately fought back. It didn't take them long to find the equalizer. And then the second half, they took by storm.
7 goals now for FC Dallas in the first half. 15 in the second half, to your point.
Yep.
Can we just put 45s up on the board whenever we get back to home against San Jose?
We're going to have here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a scoreboard glitch where it says 2-0 San Jose, 46th minute, and we're going to play from there.
Okay, I love it. I love it. The other part, big picture here, Ryan, I'll throw this at you. It's not just what they did, it's who they did it with, because obviously you did have your desired attacking trio, but you didn't have Ka'ike, you didn't have Ramiro, you didn't have Osaze Uriguide, arguably your best player. You were doing a makeshift midfield with Pedrinho, Patrickson, and a returning Sebastian Lletget. In many years, and even this year, teams don't play well in that game. Dallas not only played well, they won decisively. That's an important checkmark on their season.
Absolutely. I think, a number that really jumps off the page to me is they played 6 players that are 21 years or younger tonight, 8 players that are 23 or younger, including Logan Farrington and Bernard Kamungo. They gave a 17-year-old his debut in Josh Torquato. I mean, it was everything that you could have asked for, and I think to a man, none of those guys looked out of place. I mean, starting with Alvaro at the back, we mentioned he had a couple of moments late in the game, but the game was kind of in a weird state at that point, and maybe it takes a little bit more of an experienced player to understand the chaos that was going on. But in the flow of the game, maybe the 60 minutes up until the red card, I don't think he really put much of a foot wrong. He didn't look out of place at all at the Major League Soccer level, and that's encouraging because he was an unknown quantity completely. He hadn't played at the professional level when Dallas brought him in on that trial in Portugal and decided to sign him. I think a lot of that was based on his potential. Obviously, his athletic ability, his height, his stature, everything is there. It jumps off the page in terms of the physical side. Now, seeing him apply it in an MLS game at the age of 20, that's an age where a lot of center backs are still years away from contributing. So I was really encouraged by that. I think the midfield held it together well. And, Nolan Norris picking up his first assist off the bench, that was a big point as well. And season debuts for Anthony Ramirez and Josh Torquato. A lot of boxes checked. And for me, somebody who loves to see young players coming through, this was an exciting return to, some things of the past that this club has been known for. And that's what Eric Quill said when he was introduced, that he wanted to do. And he had the opportunity with some guys out tonight to do it. And, it would have been easy to turn to, Siki and Sabling instead of Anthony Ramirez late in the game. But I love to see Anthony getting that opportunity.
And it's worth noting, too, Nolan Norris gets an assist, and yet on a night where they fouled a combined 31 times, no yellow card for Nolan Norris.
Yeah, that's
so a little bit of growth there from the young man. And, I think last year is fresh in our minds, specifically you and me, Steve, because we were here calling the doubleheader last year, the Open Cup and MLS, where things just did not go well. But tonight, and this is kind of a bit of a series across the season, things just kind of broke right for Dallas. They get the penalty that, was there. They were able to work their way through, the soccer gods smiled on this team, both in general and in a stadium those people think is a bad place for Dallas to play.
Well, listen, I say this all the time. People sort of lose track of the fact that referees' decisions are every single time a zero-sum game. That means for every winner, there's a loser. Supporters and sometimes media tend to forget about the times decisions go for them, right? So, I do think on another night, maybe Shelton doesn't get that second yellow. There wasn't a lot of contact there, and maybe he gets a talking to there. I think on another night, maybe Acosta doesn't get that penalty kick call because there wasn't a lot of contact from Jensen Miller. But here's the thing, guys. I'm going to go back a little bit. Sporting Kansas City and Children's Mercy Park has always been a place where against Dallas, the benefit of the doubt of these close calls have always gone against them. In fact, they've gone against every team there. And I have this theory that Peter Vermees for all those years was so good at working the referees. And I actually looked at the numbers one time, and all through the years, every year Peter Vermees was there until the last few when their teams just weren't very good. They were the beneficiaries of more red cards for the other team, more yellow cards for the other team, more penalty kicks called for them. I mean, if you looked all through the years. But in Dallas in particular, guys, a long time ago, there was a game, it was Peter Vermees was at manager, where there's a ball that clearly goes over the line for Dallas. But it was right before VAR. It wasn't. The replays showed us very clear it was a goal, but it wasn't called a goal because the referee's assistant wasn't in the right place. There was another incident where I remember Kevin Hart was in goal for a penalty kick, and I don't know who was taking the penalty kick, but somebody encroached so far for Kansas City that when Kevin Hart made the first save, he later told me, he's like, that guy was in so far. And the guy that was in, I can't remember who it was, whoever was encroaching actually got to the rebound and scored. And Kevin Hart said, I wasn't sure who was taking the penalty kick he was in so far, right? There was a Benny Feilhaber bad dive that was called for as a penalty kick. I want to say there was an Nkosi Tafari incident 2 or 3 years ago that I thought was about, maybe he got a red card, and that was a little bit
We're
of
going to have to call on Mark Followill on this one, I think.
Right.
His encyclopedic knowledge.
So the point is like all of these years, of all these times that the calls have gone against Dallas, I feel like they were sort of owed one tonight if a couple of the calls went their way.
Yeah, and if you want to hear from Mark Followill, by the way, we had a great interview and a great time talking with him during this week on the last FC Dallas Agenda podcast. That one's pretty evergreen. Anytime you want to go back and listen to it, you can hear from the former voice, the great voice of Mark Followill, former voice of the team for the TV broadcast until 2022. That was an awesome conversation, and like I said, this game felt like a throwback in many ways, but except in that one, and that Dallas got the breaks. They got an MVP call that they've never really had a player that can get a call like that. To be honest, over the years, at least as far as I've been concerned, in terms of Lucho winning that penalty, knowing how to contort his body to make sure that he gets the contact, that it won't be overturned, and they move up to 10th in the standings tonight. And now we're at the halfway point, 17 games played, and you do have to start looking towards the standings. And what that tells me is that the next game is absolutely massive for the team, because with their game in hand on the majority of the rest of the teams, they could hop as far as 8th with a win. The team that's in 8th right now is the San Jose Earthquakes, who are coming to town. It's going to be a huge one in terms of those playoff standings. Can they climb their way up the table in this back half of the season?
And the opportunity is there, because look what they, with this makeshift lineup tonight, and having, done the deed with the makeshift lineup now, they get Ka'ike back, and there's a knock-on effect. That means Leggett can play in his more natural position. So you get that. They're going to get Abubakar back, so you don't have to play the very young center back if you don't want to. Nolan Norris, who Eric Will told us probably would have started tonight, but he just got back from the international trip and only had one training session with the team, so he becomes an option. So now all the stuff that was gone wrong tonight, you don't have some of the guys back. Ramiro's not back, Osaze's not back, but you have a lot more options now for that home match coming up against San Jose. And
I do want to clean up one thing Steve said, because for our younger listeners. Kevin Hart never played for FC Dallas, but Kevin Hartman did.
Yes.
Just to make sure.
It would have been quite the moment if it was Kevin Hart.
I was very confused for a while. I'm like, how far back is Steve going? And I had to look it up to make sure. No, current LA Galaxy goalkeeping coach Kevin Hartman, not worldwide famous comedian Kevin Hart. Unless you really want to tell us a story here, in which case I'm here to hear it, because I would love the visual of Kevin Hart trying to dive for a penalty.
That was an important correction, Sam Hale. Well done, sir.
I had to make sure. My own brain was itching on that one. To follow up something Ryan said, obviously big congratulations tonight to two young players. We've talked a lot about Alvaro getting his first start. Josh Torquato, he's on a short-term loan. The likelihood is we won't, hopefully, not for his sake, but just for the team's sake, this is probably his last run in the team for a minute with the health of Nolan Norris and Marco Farfan. But I think, Ryan, it is important, you're talking about not just liking to see the players, but one of the things Eric Quill said in his first press conference, we're going to get back to what made this team a success, bringing through young players. And look, 15 minutes or 10 minutes or however long Josh got tonight may not seem like a lot to a lot of people, but that's a step in the right direction, especially in the context of under the Estevez administration. It just wasn't a thing that they really did nearly as much as guys like Lucci and even Oscar Pareja wanted to do.
Yeah, I think it's a big credit to Josh Torquato, too, because he got the opportunity in preseason. He wasn't even involved with North Texas SC last year. He was just straight academy.
He was a baby.
Yeah, he was 16 last year. I mean, he was training with the North Texas, but he never got into a game in Next Pro. And to make the jump up to MLS within a year is huge from him. He took that month in Portugal and with the team in preseason and earned the trust of the coaching staff, and I think they see a huge future for him, and that's why they're willing to give him this opportunity. They trust, he came in a position where he's not as accustomed to, playing a little higher up the field, but that also took the pressure off of him to, provide some cover for Marco Farfan and be an outlet when he could, but there wasn't a huge amount of pressure on him. It was a great situation for him to come into, and it's a proud moment for him and the family, as I'm sure they're going to celebrate it tonight.
Yeah, and to your point, look, some important moments tonight for Nolan Norris, and he made a big contribution. So some added some bite into the midfield when they needed it in there, and then won a duel in the midfield against Joaquin Fernandez, the center back, and was able to, from that duel from winning that, played in Lucho Acosta. I don't think he'll get an official assist on that because Lucho Acosta dribbled about 7 different people before he actually scored. But it was an important moment for Nolan Norris.
No, he did. He got the assist.
Oh, he did? Okay,
yeah,
wow. So
sure
I'm surprised about that, but good for him.
Yeah, I think
they may take it away from him.
Yeah, maybe. But hey, we will be there rioting if they do. One last point that isn't talking about the young players that got their opportunity tonight is just how good it was to have Leggett back out there. I mean, This is a guy that just makes everything tick so much smoother for this team in midfield, in possession, and credit to him playing in a little bit of a deeper role tonight. As his career's gone on, he's gone from a sort of a winger, a number 10, an attacking player, to a box-to-box midfielder, and now they're asking him to play deep. I mean, he's played in a double pivot this season at times, but being the single pivot is a different level of responsibility. He was up to the task, and it's just like watching a well-oiled machine, ticking along, and there's nobody else on the roster right now for me. I think maybe Ka'ike can get there and some other younger players can get there over time that just has his level of calm in midfield, and it's so important. If you can have a piece like that, you can bring other more inexperienced, a little more rough around the edges type of players around him, and he can just make life easier for those guys, and that's what he did tonight. And to give him that much time in his return from injury, I think he's a sort of unsung hero of the match for me, as is Shaq Moore as well, who got an assist and was pretty locked down all night.
And to build on that, too, he was subbed out in the 65th minute. That's when Nolan Norris came on. But remember, Dallas played 8 minutes of extra time in that first half. So we had heard, hey, 45, maybe 60. Well, he gets to the 45, and then they have to play 8 more, so he ends up playing 53 there. Oh, and then he just goes ahead and plays another 20. So he plays over 70 minutes in the first time he's played since April 5th, I believe, is the date you had, Ryan?
Yeah, credit to him for all the work that he does to maintain his body, and obviously injuries are a part of the game. It's never easy, and he talked about that, how frustrating it is to watch from the side, knowing what he can bring to the team, and he showed it from the first minute today. It was huge in the midfield.
Yeah, it was a match that was sort of set up that way because it was a low-tempo, low-event match. It sort of turned a lot higher tempo in the last 30 minutes when it was just
when everybody could smell a goal.
Right, up and down the field. But for the time that he was in there, I mentioned at halftime, I think he can go a little bit further here because it's a relatively calm and slower match.
And you were right on the money there. Before we take a brief look ahead at the next opponent, which is going to be just a minute here for FC Dallas, do we have any final thoughts before we turn off the open sign on FC Dallas 4, Sporting Kansas City 2?
Yeah, congratulations to Alvaro. Congratulations to Josh Torquato making your debuts tonight. That's huge, and they showed that they were up to the level, I think, in the time that they got. They can be pieces not only for the future but for the present for this team, and building the depth of the roster is something that's so important over the course of the season. And at times, like you mentioned, it didn't happen, in previous seasons. So giving those opportunities to younger players to give them that chance not only to prove themselves but now to be a part of the group because they've proven that they can play at this level. That for me is one of the biggest takeaways, in addition to Lucho getting, that much closer to his best moments, and probably his best moments in an FC Dallas shirt so far came tonight.
Yeah, and for me, just that the team individually now, they're going to get a few days off, and it's just great to be able to go away and not be frustrated about things and, not sleeping when you're, trying to take get a little mental breather. But, instead you're going away feeling pretty good about some things individually and feeling pretty good about the way the team just looked. I mean, it was a pretty good result a couple of weeks ago. A man down to, get a good result against a good Philadelphia team. Now they've got another good result tonight, so they can go away and really enjoy themselves and come back fresh.
Yeah, unbeaten in 3 games. You got ties on the road at Cincy and home against Philadelphia, 2 of the top teams in the East. And this is one that you felt like you had a really good chance to win, and they took care of business. And we can take some of those good vibes into these few days off for the team, and then right back to work with San Jose coming.
Yep. So the team will take some time off. I believe it's Friday that they're coming back, and then they'll get ready for San Jose on the 25th, which is a Wednesday. And I do want everyone to dream with me for just a second because obviously Ka'ike will be back. He was suspended. So will Lalo Sabubakar. But now that you've gotten 70-plus minutes from Leggett, he can probably get back to whatever his regular form would be. If things break right, knock on fake wood there, you might see Paxton back for San Jose. We're not saying anything we know here, just it's a theory. But say for Osaze or Aguirre, you could have, if everything breaks right, pretty close to a first-choice 11 for FC Dallas. And I don't know the last time you could say that for this squad because either somebody's been injured or somebody's been suspended. Like, you could go into San Jose minus, now arguably your best player in Osaze, but you could have darn near the 11 you would want to run out on any given day.
Yeah, you might say Romero as well. I don't think he's going to be available, so maybe 1 or 1.5.
Yeah. Well, I'll hear. I'm knocking on wood because I don't know. I feel like every time we feel like it's coming in terms of the positivity on the injury front, somebody else pops up with something. So I'm not gonna offer any further comment at this time, except for I'm crossing my fingers and my toes.
Well, while we all wait for the team to come back tonight, we'll wrap them in bubble wrap before they head off for their vacation. It is San Jose on Wednesday, June 25th. It's a 3-point day, so it's going to be $3 brewskis and $1 glizzies here at Toyota Stadium. I believe it's the only one this year. So if you want dollar hot dogs, FCDallasTickets.com. Come out, support the team as they come and look for their second win at home. Oddly enough, Kansas City was the first one. But, hey, if you can't make it out, we got you covered. FC Dallas Radio Network. We will start pregame that Wednesday night at 7 o'clock with 7:30 kickoff here at Toyota Stadium against the Earthquakes. But that's going to do it for tonight's FC Dallas postgame show. For our engineer, Barry Walters, for Ryan Figert, for Steve Davis, I have been Sam Hale. You've been listening to FC Dallas Soccer presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
The preceding broadcast has been a presentation of the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor.